Hello, everybody, and welcome to a new episode of the MinnMax Show, a place about games, friends, and getting better. My name is Ben Hansen. Thank you for being here on this exciting episode. I'm not alone. I'm joined by a smirky Jeff Marchiafava.
I saw a puppy, so...
And we're joined by a puppied Kyle Hilliard.
Hello, he's like 2 or 3. Is he really a puppy anymore? I don't know.
He looks small. That's a puppy.
It's more size than age.
Yeah. Jacob Geller is here as well.
Boys Club, even the dog.
Yeah, we're in the doghouse today, boys. Woof, woof. But don't worry, it'll get better because Sarah Podorski and Kelsey Lewin are going to be joining us later on in this episode to talk about Infinity Nikki. We're going to talk about Starstruck Hands of Time. We're going to answer a ton of community questions, the final round of community questions for 2024. It's a goodie, so stay tuned for that. But before we get to all that fun stuff, we're going to be talking about Diceomancer. We're going to be talking about Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. And we're going to be talking about what we're talking about right now, which is thank you for a great year here at MinnMax. Thank you for supporting us on Patreon. I know we say it all the time, but we would not exist without everybody going slightly out of their way, entering that URL in their browser, using your phone, whatever you want, and jumping in even at that $2 tier. And as an extra thank you for new supporters here, if you jump in before Monday, December 16th, we will DM you a code for Steam, a Steam code for Kunitsu-Gami, Path of the Goddess. So if you support us at any tier on Patreon before this Monday, December 16th, we will DM you this Steam code for Path of the Goddess. What is there to say? I mean, this is one of the coolest games of 2024. Is that the best way to describe Path of the Goddess?
I would be shocked if it was not on our 210s.
Yes.
Read.
Very much so. And it's like, you know how we always talk about like Capcom, what a streak. Good God, they have just been killing it over the last 5 years. Kunitsu-Gami Path of the Goddess is in that lineage. It is a great Capcom game that it's a new IP. Maybe it wasn't on your radar as much as it should have been. It deserves way more love. So we're helping them out, giving them a boost, and thanking new supporters on Patreon. So jump in at even that $2 tier, everybody, and we'll DM you a Steam code for Kunitsu-Gami Path of the Goddess.
It's $50 on Steam. It's not like it's been like discounted to $5 or something.
This is truly a bananas thing. So huge shout out to Capcom for sending us the codes, making this possible. It has an amazing soundtrack, amazing art style. We are out of codes when we hit 5,285 paid supporters, or until Monday, December 16th. But thank you so much, everybody. If you've enjoyed MinnMax's content this year, think of it as our $2 Christmas gift, and we'll DM you a Steam code for Path of the Goddess. So thanks, everybody, for that. And if you say, I don't play on PC, I play on PS5, well, good news. You can follow MinnMax Show on Instagram and leave a comment on the post from this week that has a picture of Path of the Goddess asking about the most underrated game of 2024. Leave a comment there, and you're in the running to win a PS5 code. So again, that's at MinnMax Show on Instagram, and you can tune in for our daily videos, behind the scenes pictures, all that fun stuff. Oh, by the way, if you're tuning in and you're screaming, why aren't they talking about the Game Awards? Why aren't they talking about the big reveals? That was mind-blowing. We're recording this before the Game Awards, but you can tune into our live reaction or watch the archive of our live reaction on MinnMax's YouTube channel if you want to see us break down all of the reveals, react to the live reveals. We'll have a fun time with Sarah and Leo and I in the studio together. So that is the place to go.
You're doing it in studio, because that just means I have to sit on my couch alone and watch the Game Awards, which is one of the most depressing things you can do.
Dude, I told you should have stayed out in Minnesota on your own dime.
I would have loved to.
All right, here we go, everybody. Indiana Jones and truly the Great Circle. A little behind the scenesy thing, you know, Kyle, you had talked about Indiana Jones, the Great Circle, I think when we were doing the rapid fire planning for that Leo Vader video, and you're like, I'm really looking forward to this. I'm really stoked. So you were the first to get the code, and I was really trying to assess where I was with this game, and I was in the camp of like, I love Indiana Jones. I've never really played a machine games game. I don't know. It looks a little cheap around the edges. We'll see how it goes. But you have got the game, Kyle. How much have you played of Indiana Jones and the Great Circle?
You know, not like a colossal amount. I haven't beaten it.
Okay.
Maybe like 5 hours or something like that.
Okay.
4 or 5.
All right.
Yeah.
Jeff, where are you at for this thing?
Around 4, I'd like to say.
Okay. Jacob, Mr. Wolfenstein 2 fan number 1, where are you at?
I kind of have a story to share, but the short answer is I played 2 hours and then I somehow deleted my save file.
You weren't supposed to look at the art.
Yeah, come on, man. It's very clear. Don't worry, listeners. I can bring up the whole team here. I could not have been more skeptical going into this game. And even out of the gate, I was like, okay, I appreciate this more than I want to play it. Like, it seems impressive, but we'll see. And then I just kept going, and I finished the game last night.
Wow.
Absolutely adored it. Loved it. Like, like to the level of finished it and then was looking at my top 10 list. I'm like, we're sliding this very, very high up there. God damn, it just hit me in a way that, like, not since like Spider-Man 2, I think, have I jumped into a game just been like, I just need to keep blasting through this. I'm having such a good time playing this damn game.
Before we even start talking about this, this does raise a point that I was like worried about, which is this is a really weird game to slot into top 10 discussions. Like, we are recording our 210s in 7 days.
Yep.
And it's like, this is a 15-hour game that I got access to 2 days ago. Right. And it really frustrates me because it's like, I believe that it's great and I don't want to like leave it off, but at the same time, it really feels like a weird position to either be like, blast through this game in a week and also don't have any time to think about it, just make a snap judgment, or leave it off the list completely. And both of those things feel bad to me.
If you're digging it, I would encourage you to get through it. Like, I am so curious with your perspective as a big Wolfenstein fan, because not being a fan of that series, never have really given it its due. Like, I started Wolfenstein 2 and then I was like, okay, I fell off. I am self-conscious about how much I love this game, because like, is this just like, you know, a Disney-fied version of what Machine Games has been doing for a while, and I'm naive for thinking that it's so damn good?
Gosh, I feel like it's I was surprised at how little it reminded me of Wolfenstein, if that makes sense. Like, I was like, oh, this is like, I'm playing a Dishonored game that's like licensed to Indiana Jones, right? It's like a diet Dishonored, right? It's not like quite as crazy as Dishonored, but like, I had the same emotions that I have playing Dishonored, where I'm sneaking around and like picking up objects and like working my way through this big area with multiple paths and things like that. Like, it was interesting because like, playing the opening, I was like, oh, this is fun. Oh, look, they contacted Alfred Molina's lawyers. This is cool. They're really like going for it. Genuinely, I was like, but it's like lawyers. It's like one level, and I was like, oh, it's fun to sort of experience that in first person. But it was playing like an hour or so into that next sequence where I was like, oh, this is what this is. Okay, it's not just like levels that are themed around Indiana Jones. This is like a whole open area sneak around game, which I was like surprised by. And it goes back and forth. It changes. I can see you kind of like almost looking to talk me out of that maybe. But
well, I think maybe, I heard other people compare it to Dishonored because it's like, oh, a lot of first person stealth. And I do want to caution people, because I was playing through that Vatican area, which is, it's not the most complex in the world, but I heard people even compare it to, immersive sims, I guess, beyond Dishonored, because it's like, oh, there's stealth and there's some systems at play and you're collecting keys and unlocking new areas and all these things. And it's like, that was actually turning me off a little bit of like, okay, the keys for this over here, I think I got it. I really fell in love with this game after the Vatican area. And so I don't want to frame it fully as like, this is like a Dishonored game, everybody jump in here. But
it's a compliment from me.
Right,
like just the fact, the thing wasn't, it was just like, hey, you got to get to point B over there. You're starting at point A. And it's like, and there's a bunch of different paths to do it, and you can climb and you can use your whip. And that was the part, like I said, it was more that I had the same feelings of like exploring a Dishonored location rather than being like, oh, this is a new Dishonored,
Totally. I think the thing that really popped for me, and especially by the end of this game, was just thinking about, and no spoilers here, but just thinking about like, God, why does this feel so special and so unique? And it's like, oh, it's a first person game without a lot of gunplay. Imagine like the thrills of an Uncharted game in first person with 1/200th of the gunplay. Like, I have
not fired a gun yet.
I haven't
rare. Even used it.
Yep,
yeah.
I know. Like, it's so telling that you technically have a revolver with 6 shots in it. You can find ammo. You can shoot it. I don't think it's the way you should be playing this game. And it's so telling that, like, when you have your gun out, the X button, which should be reload, that defaults to turning the pistol around to pistol whip enemies. So you can sneak up behind them and take them out. Like, that's all you need to know about how much they want to prioritize gunplay in this game. Is like the button you're hitting for reload is constantly reminding you, no, just sneak up behind people and hit them over the head. And that's what you should be doing with this gun. And it makes it so unique and so fun.
I'm still in the Vatican area, so I'm excited to hear all of this. And I do want to play more. It's been slow going, and like, I wasn't super excited going into it. The things that I was afraid of was that it would be that the combat wouldn't be fun, like fisticuffs based combat in first person didn't look fun, and then I was kind of worried that it would be like every franchise nowadays where it's like it's all callbacks to old games and you have to repeat the same lines and get put in the same kind of scenarios.
Right.
So imagine my surprise at the beginning of this game where it's like a shot-for-shot remake of the opening to Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Right.
To the point where like Machine Games must have had it up on the monitor and had the movie up and been playing them at the same time saying, yes, we've done it. We've achieved it. It is one for one, absolutely the same, except their facial animations aren't quite as good. So it gets a little wonky.
As Earth,
but
and you can't see the boulder chasing you.
Yes. When I started that, it was like, man, this is not what I want.
Yeah.
And like I don't know. My first impression was like, I don't know who this is for. And then I remembered, oh, it's for me as someone who was a kid that grew up with those like a kid in the 80s that watched those movies and like, you know, loved that fantasy. But like, I didn't want to play through that. I
think who is it for is interesting, and it's just the tutorial basically is the opening is the opening of Raiders, and it's fascinating. I want to talk about it a lot, but I think it's just a way to communicate, hey, you're in good hands. Like Indiana Jones fans, look at this attention to detail about us recreating this entire sequence, this beloved sequence from the films. Look at what we did. Now let's launch you in a new adventure. So being too bogged down by like, is this only going to be nod, winky, winky? Like,
yes,
it has those, but it gets away from it.
That is what I wanted to get to, was that like, when I was playing through that, I was like, this was a waste of resources and time.
Oh, to, Jesus Christ, you guys.
Completely recreate. Like, that must have taken so long to recreate that. And you could have been doing something different and new that I wanted to do. And then when the next level started, it was like, okay, this is actually what I want, closer to it. I still don't love the combat.
Yeah.
Like getting into fist fights is as least interesting as I thought it was going to be. But the good news about that is there are improvised weapons everywhere. And like 90% of the time, you're just running around like conking people on the head with whatever you could pick up to like get through that sneaky part. So I'm really enjoying the stealth of it. It's like the Vatican, I'm still a little bit on the fence, and I am interested. I'm glad that you said that like it started clicking with you more once you got beyond that, because I've been like running around taking pictures and it hasn't been like super exciting, but they're still introducing new mechanisms and stuff like that. And I am like, the story's pretty dopey so far. And like some of the logical leaps where it's like Indiana Jones got beat up by a big guy. And so he's like, he gets to the Vatican and he talks to his friend there and he's like, yeah, the guy was giant. And then his friend is like, oh, giant. Let me look up the word giant in the Vatican history and see if there are any references to giants. And it's like, what are you talking about? That's just a word he chose. Like the guy wasn't like 15 feet tall or something.
He's pretty damn tall, Jeff.
Like 10 feet tall.
Especially from your perspective, he's like 15 feet tall.
I suppose. But
it's funny when you talk about the dialogue and stuff, because I'm having a lot of moments. It's like a lot of the little side moments. Because like the last Indiana Jones film, I enjoyed, but it was like a very much like I was like, this is fine. Like it kind of just went in my head and out like within a couple days, and like I barely remember it, which is like, which maybe is a statement about the quality of that film. But like playing the game, I've had a number of moments where I'm like, oh yeah, I really like Indiana Jones in this world. He's like really funny. Like there's a sequence where you're dressed as a pastor and a fascist, as they're called in the subtitles, is like, hey, you're a priest, right? Can I confess to you?
Right.
And there's this whole scene. It's just totally on the side. It's like totally just
it's a side quest.
You know, you could miss it. And it's like, and he starts confessing that like he cheated on his wife with his mother-in-law, and he's worried that they're both pregnant, and so Indiana Jones just like punches him, and it's just because he's a jerk. And I'm like, this is fun. Like, I'm having more fun with this Indiana Jones than I did with the last film, which is surprising because Harrison Ford's not even here. You know,
I mean, here's the secret, which is I was worried about every aspect of this game other than the story, basically, because I was like, Machine Games does good stories, and really what they do and where they're coming through here is they write boring men well. Like, that's kind of the Machine Games secret sauce, because it's like BJ Blazkowicz is, like, on paper the least interesting video game protagonist, and they made him incredibly compelling in the new Wolfenstein games, and Indiana Jones is fun because he's Harrison Ford.
Correct.
And if you take being Harrison Ford out of the equation, he's truly just like some guy. And the fact that they're able to, they're able to inject the fun of being Harrison Ford into a game where you largely can't see his face and he's not played by Harrison Ford is like really impressive. You know, it's like that is a challenging thing to do that they have done.
Yeah, it really got me. Like, you know, I enjoy the Uncharted games fine. Above fine, I would say. But it's just like having the thrill of playing an Uncharted-style game in some ways, but with a character that, it turns out I care a lot about. Like, Last Crusade is one of my favorite movies of all time. And so this just really sinking in, like, God damn. I was emotional several times throughout this journey. Not tears rolling down, but, like, getting a little choked up. But, like, God damn it, I missed Indiana Jones. And like,
also, they have the music.
That is obviously
when they
huge.
Sprinkle in the little Marion's theme in there.
Oh my God. But even like, there's, you know, so many climactic moments in here, but there's one towards the end, there's a climactic moment. And it was like, why is this making me emotional and making me miss Indiana Jones so much? And it's like, okay, the music, I wasn't paying attention. It wasn't even the Indiana Jones theme, but just like having that style of orchestration sounding like a John Williams score, and just the little moments too with the music of when you're sneaking up to stealth bonk somebody in the back of the head, and just like having that bit of the score like dang come through like just as you're taking out that one person. And Jeff, you mentioned like, you know, the fisticuff stuff, fighting, you know, basically punch out in here. I wasn't crazy about it. I mean, I probably did it 20 times throughout the entire game. Like, I really feel like I wasn't doing it that much because so much of the time I'm just grabbing anything around the room and throwing it. Like, there are so many items and just wacky objects everywhere. Like, imagine a Skyrim, because this game, you know, executive produced by Todd Howard. Imagine a Skyrim
That's his note. Stuff, more stuff,
right? But like,
stuff.
All the crap around the room you can use and
Make it
pick
so he
up.
can only pick up 5 bagels. He has to be over encumbered by bagels.
But it's just absurd to be throwing fly swatters at enemies, and then a Nazi's running at you with a broom, and you're picking up a frying pan and chucking it. Like, it is just absurd stuff that is so silly and unique.
It's like, you know, in the video game Kentucky Route Zero, where you can choose your dialogue choices and they don't affect the story, they just affect your perception of the character you're playing. Like, all of the objects do the same thing. They are all just, you sneak up behind someone and bonk them. But like, you are making the decision of like, I'm going to hit him with this big bust of like, you know, like a marble bust or a fly swatter or a candlestick. And like making those decisions was like, I think Indiana Jones would use a candlestick. It was like an actual thing I was thinking through while playing the game.
Yeah, it's wild to think of, you know, the story they're telling here with the Great Circle, which in the first trailer they even revealed that idea of like, oh, all these priceless artifacts, they line up perfectly in a great circle around the globe. And like, you gotta do it. Like, hinging the entire story, I think, just on one MacGuffin for Indiana Jones to find, I feel like we'd get pretty sick of it. But it's such a smart idea for this game to be like, oh, you're jumping around a bunch of different locations and finding a bunch of different cool objects that all tie into this larger storyline. And it's just fun to experience an Indiana Jones story that's lasting for like 15 hours. You could get so much time with this guy and these characters and the larger mystery, and it becomes absurd. And this is what I really appreciate about this game is it has a good sense of how you're feeling going through it, if that makes sense. Like, you know, the 5th time you grab an object from a temple and then, oh, it turns out it was a trap, and the temple starts to fall apart. Even Indiana Jones is like, kind of getting sick of this. Like, they know exactly what you're feeling as you're going through this. And even like where you think you know where the story is going at a certain point of like, okay, so the Great Circle's like this, and this is going to be the larger mystery. Got it. Then I feel like it's immediately after that, like, okay, we know you got that part. Here's that part. There's more to it. And not spoiling where it goes in the end, but it's one of those things of like, Todd Howard has talked about how he was dreaming of making this game for so long, and he pitched this idea to George Lucas back in 2009. And so as I was playing through this game the entire time, I'm like, what was it? What was baby Todd Howard watching the Indiana Jones movies and thinking, I have an Indiana Jones story, like what could it possibly be? And then by the end of the game, it's like, okay, got it. Like, not wildly unique, but it is like, I could see having this epiphany of like, this would be such a cool Indiana Jones story. And when you see it, it's big, and it's like, yes, that is freaking fun. And sorry to be enthusiastic, but cryptic, but like, when enemies, or like when, characters are like, let me tell you the real story of what's going on here, Dr. Jones. Like, I could not be more on the edge of my seat. Like, yes, fill me full of this mythology, history, archaeology nonsense. Like, tell me a new tale. And it completely stuck the landing for me, which I was really worried about for the entire game of like, where is this thing going to be going? But I thought it was so damn fun.
That's great.
Ben,
That's awesome to hear. Yeah.
Can I tell you to do something?
Yeah.
Play Wolfenstein: The New Order. Honestly, it's like I think Wolfenstein: The New Order is better than the new Colossus. I know JV says the new Colossus is like the greatest game ever made.
Of course,
but just play the first one. It obviously will not have the nostalgia for you of Indiana Jones, but that game is a lot stealthier than you think. It is like mostly kind of a creep around game that then you shoot people, and like all of their skill with characters and storytelling and mythology and big reveals is really, really there. And it's just like it's a linear first-person shooter that's story-based. We haven't had one of those in years.
I know. I do wonder if I stopped playing those because I got sick, because first-person games make me sick a lot. For some reason, this one did not make me sick at all. And so maybe that was like an extra boost of enthusiasm here. But also I was playing in like the cinematic mode, where it's like, wildly, a wider aspect ratio and stuff. So I wonder if that was a factor here. So I worry about going back to the Wolfenstein games if I'd be too sick to finish it or something like that. But
that's interesting. You might be able to letterbox those as well.
That'd be interesting.
I don't know.
Keep making the case, man. I just had such a damn blast. Like, there are shades of another one of my favorite games, of course, Peter Jackson's King Kong, the official game of the movie. There are shades of that, like the best torch work in games since that. There's a section later on where you're like throwing things a little bit like the spears in King Kong. It's like, God, it reminds me of that game that I love.
I have been impressed just in that Vatican area. Like, I wasn't super in love with it. I was having to take a lot of pictures of, emblems or whatever. But then, like, it started to open it up more. I found something that was like, oh, well, here's a map to all the mysteries. And I was surprised by how much they're really cramming into just that first location of like side quests and side mysteries. And your journal my journal is already packed with all kinds of crap in there. And it like that made me want to spend more time exploring that area and really finding as much as I could than a little more than the main mission has so far.
Yeah, I mean,
but that's still just starting. So
I gotta wonder if
too critical.
Feeling this great sense of momentum in here was, I largely skipped the side stuff. I did like some of the bigger side quests early on, but the nice thing is you can jump back to any area, you can jump back and do those quests. So like, I was really happy with the pacing of just like focusing on main story, blasting through it, and now I'm going back, upped it to hard difficulty, and I'm gonna go check out all the side stuff and kind of relive those things.
That's cool, because like I was thinking of like blasting through the main story, because I was like, the side stuff is interesting, but I really want to do it. But there was like a line of dialogue or something that was like, well, I better get everything I need to do here before I go to the next mission. And I was like, oh, really? Maybe I should do a couple of these. But if you're saying that I can go back, that actually encourages me to kind of want to just mainline it, just because I want to see what happens and I want to see a new location,
Maybe because we're recording the 210s awfully soon, I would encourage just mainlining through it and seeing all the different locations. Because there's a lot that they pack in here. Yeah, but
I mean, to that conversation Jacob was brought up earlier about like games coming out so close to this discussion, I mean, like, I feel like there's always at least one or two of these every year. I've certainly had to sprint through what ended up being some of my favorite games right at the end. But I do want to see this one to the end if I can. I'm low confidence that I'll make it to the end before these discussions, but it didn't take long for me to think like, I might have to make room for this on my list. I'm enjoying this so far.
Yeah, I would encourage you
to be a week before.
Or a glorious place to be. Yeah, no, I hear you.
That's
And
true.
like
That's true.
the kind of the elephant in the room here is we talk about, hey, Indiana Jones is back. It's so wild seeing this likeness of Harrison Ford. It looks good. You know, the game's not going to blow you away. There's definitely points where it's like, okay, I don't know about this lighting. Something looks a little wonky here. This eye shimmer is a little weird if you really want to be really nitpicky. And there's a little jank in this game, you know, around the edges. Like dialogue system was kind of getting, it's not exactly a Naughty Dog dialogue system. Like they kind of repeat some lines, things would be cut off here and there, overlapping dialogue, like that type of thing. But like Troy Baker as
Incredible.
Indiana Jones, ridiculously good.
Yes, I have just been sitting in awe every time he opens his mouth and thinking like, God, that sounds exactly like Harrison Ford. Like,
I know.
I cannot believe how much he nails that.
And even early on, it's a lot of kind of like the, I don't know about this. What's with this mystery type thing? It's like, okay, he's got that voice, but can he really do the yell? Because we haven't hit a big climactic scene. And then in the action scenes, when he's yelling, I'm like, Gina! It's like, it is perfect. This is the most flattering thing I can say while also being an attack. It is so good, it makes me a little suspicious of like, is there a little AI sweetening going on in here? Just a little dash post-processing happening. I'm not accusing anybody of anything, but like it is unbelievably good. And like it's such a weird thing. I've never had it in a game before. Maybe Telltale's Back to the Future game. Remember the Marty McFly was like unbelievably good? But not since that have I had it where like every line that he has, it's the little 30 seconds of fun loop that I go on is I'm reviewing how his performance is for like every line. It's like, that was pretty good. That one was like 90% Harrison Ford. This one's like 98%. This one's like 60%. But like, it's such a weirdly compelling thing to keep me going through the game on top of just enjoying the larger narrative and everything. Is just like, I just want to see what else he can do and how close he can get to Harrison Ford. And the answer is very, very damn close.
Yeah. I mean, I had the thought playing with Harrison Ford being an old man these days. I was like, if they had gotten Harrison Ford to come do this voice, I think that would have been more distracting.
It would have been terrible.
Yeah. Sleepwalked his way through it.
Yeah, we saw the opening of Dial of Destiny. Even that sounded weird, you know?
Yeah.
I had I knew they had him when just after the intro he wakes up in his like professor garb in a college, and I just thought, Jesus, he's hot. Which is like every time I see, you know, young Harrison Ford in those movies, I'm like, they should not let a man look like this. And like, for all the jank, they really got across just how unreasonably hot young Harrison Ford was.
I still think about it all the time. Remember when Carrie Fisher wrote that memoir about like, by the way, I f***ed Harrison Ford when he was in his 30s, and then she like died a week later. It's like, what about talk about going out on top as a queen? Be like, by the way, I got the most attractive man on earth. Okay, bye.
The story there was like she messaged him to like confirm, like it's like, hey, I'm gonna write this in the book. And
yes.
He just all he said was like, talk to my lawyer.
He goes like this. Oh, it ties into Indiana Jones. Apparently when she told him that she was going to talk about the affair that he had, and you know, because it was like on the set of Empire Strikes Back, I think he just goes, lawyer, and he raised his finger. And I was listening to interviews with Troy Baker talking about this, and he said that like the mocap director at a certain point had to come tell him, hey, you're doing a great job with the voice and the mocap and everything, but you gotta use your finger less. And I had never really thought about that, but like that's such a Harrison Ford move. And it's like all of his characters, I feel like you have the point, and now I can't stop thinking about it even during this game. There's a lot of good finger work, like, oh, we're almost there, that type of thing. But yeah, it's super solid. I'm curious to hear other people's takes on this whole thing. And it's the larger picture, I think, is fascinating of Microsoft going all in on an Indiana Jones game, which, based on their performance of The Great Circle, did not herald a new generation of Indiana Jones fans out there. And so it's such a weird
based on their performance?
Oh, of Dial of Destiny. Yes, I'm sorry.
Okay. I was like, what? Yeah.
No, yeah, sorry, of Dial of Destiny.
A dial, very different than a circle.
Completely
Two different things.
different. One's a mediocre dial. This one's a great circle. But just the idea of Microsoft hoping to tap into every Indiana Jones fan out there to try and recruit people into Game Pass, like, it's an interesting franchise at this point in its life to hinge everything on, but this is the most energized Indiana Jones has felt to me since Yeah, Last Crusade. Better than Young Indiana Jones, dare I say.
Going into the theater for Crystal Skull. That was the last time I. Although I don't hate Crystal Skull as much as most,
I don't either.
But,
yeah,
it's fine. But that was the last time I was like, yeah, new Indiana Jones thing. And it was funny because I started this one being like, new Indiana Jones thing, and then my excitement ramped up, or has continued to ramp up. It's weird.
Yeah, but yeah, it's out on Steam and Xbox. And then,
can I complain for just a second?
I just want to say real quick before we get to anything negative, the most positive thing, it's out in the spring for the PlayStation 5, just in case you're curious. It's that weird delayed thing, just to remember, and they still are saying ambiguously spring. But yes, Jacob, the complaint floor is yours.
The Xbox PC Game Pass app is the worst piece of shit I've ever used, and the game just I played it one day and the next day it just would not launch for me, and so I was like, okay, I'll move it to a different drive, which is a functionality that they supposedly have in there, and not only did it not receive my save file from the previous drive, it overwrote it, and so I haven't gone back to the game because I would just have to start from zero. It sucks. I hate that app so much.
Jacob, you know that scene where he's trying to remove the thing and he puts the sandbag there. They wanted
that's the great circle.
Wrong.
You're all the way back to the start.
Yeah, it was my simulation of not pouring enough sand out of the bag, replacing them, and then they just nuke my save file.
Imagine you swapping flash drives real quick, and it's like, nope, didn't work. Here comes the boulder.
All right, Indiana Jones Great Circle. Curious to hear other people's take. I hope y'all keep rolling with it. Do you think you are going to start it again, Jacob? I know it's not ideal.
I'm going to. It's like there are a lot of cutscenes in the beginning, so I think if I skip all of them, I can get back to where I was pretty quickly.
Yeah, I think it'll be all right. But I mean, it is fascinating that this is another larger conversation, but recreating the opening of Raiders for the opening of this game, it's just so funny to feel the pacing of a movie from the early 80s in a video game cutscene. It's like they want to be so respectful of Spielberg and that film, but you can just feel it this just feels weird and off just because it's a different era of a different medium. It's some good dorky fun to think about too much. Jeff, you know what I like thinking about? I'd say on a daily basis. One thing, Jeff, do you know what it is?
No.
The one thing I think about,
your undies.
That's coming up later, you sicko. Come on, this is
if you're crazy or not.
No, I'm thinking about Factor, everybody. Factor meals, because I get hungry several times a day, and Factor is always there for me. Factor meals. Great meals ready in 2 minutes. Genuinely, every time a new shipment of Factor arrives, I am giddy. I sprint around the living room and I say, huzzah! Super easy lunches for a long time. We did it, everybody. Nothing better. And it showed up this time, just sorting through those options. Like, oh, you got a peanut Buddha bowl, which is delicious. Roasted veggie pesto tortellini. Tex-Mex beef bowl, Jeffem, if you're feeling nasty. Pesto bacon and tomato chicken bake. Truly fantastic. 2 minutes in the microwave, perfect. They want you to know that the days are shorter, but your to-do lists aren't. So therefore, you can power through your busy days with Factor's no prep, no mess meals. From breakfast to dinner and anything in between, Factor has easy, nutritious options to keep you fueled and feeling your best. Chef-prepared, dietitian-approved meals. We have guilt-free comfort foods like home-style chicken and gravy, loaded mashed potato pork chops, feel-good vegan options like sweet potato and chickpea curry. And Factor is cheaper than takeout and dining. You can put the money you save towards holiday shopping or reaching your financial goals if you switch over to Factor. Cheap way to go, great easy meals. You can go to factormeals.com/50MinnMax and use code 50, that's the number 50, MinnMax, to get 50% off your first box plus free shipping. That is code 50MinnMax at factormeals.com/50MinnMax to get 50% off your first box plus free shipping while your subscription is active. Thank you to Factor Meals for supporting us in a huge way. They are great. Show them some love. Just like Jeffem has shown some love to a game called Diceomancer.
Yeah, it's that time, I guess, because every time I'm on the podcast, I have to tell you guys breathlessly, hey, you got to check out this deck building roguelike. Honestly.
Troy Baker's
even if you don't
great,
like them, you should check them out. I actually can't say that this time because Diceomancer is great, but it is if you're not into the concept of deck building games or roguelikes, you're you're going to look at this and you're never going to listen to me again when I give you a recommendation. It is so far beyond like the depth of deck building and weird roguelike stuff that's happening in this one is not for the novice. But if you're a big Slay the Spire fan, this eats Slay the Spire's lunch all day long.
Whoa,
this is
all day long?
Is a killer for me. I never want to play Slay the Spire again because this one does what it does and then just keeps on going for like through the end zone down like 10 more football fields.
Jeff, this is dangerous territory. You don't know what you're saying.
I know it is. And if you look at the screenshots, you're going to think I'm even crazier because it doesn't look good in screenshots. But it actually has like a really charming art style that's like everything is hand-drawn. All the enemies are hand-drawn. Every card that you play will play an animation for whatever it is. So like if you play a shield card, you'll get like a first-person view of like putting out a big shield in front of you. The amount of different mechanisms that they have put in. You know, you have your normal stuff like shields that block stuff. You have evasion that makes a hit miss and stuff. Poison, like those kind of different buffs and debuffs. But they just keep on piling on more and more stuff. They have a mana system, which is like kind of there are like two big things that are kind of the biggest things to talk about, I guess. One is that they have a mana system. So you have like your charges each turn. You get a couple charges. And that allows you to play cards, they'll cost different ones. But now you have like mana associated with it. So it's like, this card is a fire card. I therefore need a fire charge in order to play it. I have a second fire card, but I can just discard that in order to turn one of my charges into a fire charge. So you have all this swapping. You have a bunch of mechanisms built on that in terms of like turning mana into different kinds of mana. Once you play a certain mana, you will get, different buffs and stuff. But then the other thing is, as the name suggests, they have added a lot of dice into the game and dice rolls. So like a lot of kind of D&D inspired like skill checks. You'll have cards that it's like, well, this card, instead of doing a set amount of damage, it will do a 1d6, and whatever you roll for that is how much damage you'll do. And then you'll have like a luck mechanism where it's like you'll roll 2 dice and you'll take the highest dice. All of these kind of very rich mechanisms. But the crazy one that like the entire story is built on is you have this ability that's just called the one die. It'll charge up as you're playing it. You also have a card that does the same thing that you can play once every combat. But basically when you trigger this ability, any number that is on the screen, on any cards, any other number, health bars for enemies, how much mana you have, whatever it is, you will then roll a d6, and whatever number you roll, you will replace that number with. And so the way they tutorialize it is you go up against a monster that has like 250 health, and his attack that he's going to do is going to do 99 damage to you. And so like you roll a dice, and now he has 4 health instead. And it is like such an absurd game breaking kind of mechanism, but then they build off of it and they come up with interesting ways to kind of mitigate that a little. And so like most enemies will have multiple hit bars. So like you can use it once and you can turn that 50 hit bar into a 1, but he has 3 more hit bars that you have to go through. But then they layer more mechanisms on that. And so like you have a special ability that will give you a certain amount of shield every time you deplete an enemy's health bar. And so it's like they just keep growing and adding more stuff. And then you unlock the second class. And like all the mechanisms are different and you have different abilities. And it's just like the depth here is like totally absurd for a novice and for someone who isn't really into deck building games. But if you really are into deck building games, this is like such a higher next step for your fanaticism that has just been really clicking on me. And then like the art style and the sense of humor have just been continuing to grow on me. All of the, like the different enemies that you're attacking are super goofy and really fun. And they just like keep coming up with crazy. And then, like it's just building insane combos and building insane decks that will, you'll one hit a boss, because one of the basic strats is just to save up that ability, because you keep charging it and you'll go in with like 15 charges for how to use that ability and just be like, okay, now I'm turning all of your single 50 hit point health bars into, 2s and 3s and whatever, and then I will just annihilate you. But then you'll get to the next health bar or the next boss, and they'll be like, we know that's exactly what you're going to do, so we're going to add this wrinkle that completely foils that. And just like, it is exceptionally well made for what just seems like it's another, one of up-teen, deck building roguelike games, but it's not one to miss if you're into that genre.
Yeah,
sure.
Diceomancer. The developer is Ultra Piggy Studio. This is the thing. I mean, so Backstage Pass is asking Dice Folk versus Diceomancer. I feel like there's a lot of these over even the last couple of months.
Diceomancer versus anything that isn't Balatro at this point.
Whoa, okay.
It is absurd.
You saying it's better than Slay the Spire is essentially the deck building version of you saying something is better than Tetris. It's like better than God the defining
what
game
I'm saying.
of the genre.
I realize, and like, slight caveat, I wasn't as into Slay the Spire until basically this year. I really got into it and have enjoyed it. I know some people are like, I've played level 50 Ascension and all of those kind of things, and for them, I'm sure this is a sacrilegious thing to say, but like, if what you like about those games is building a unique deck that combos very well with itself, and then like really figuring out all of those mechanisms and keywords and all those systems and how to manipulate all of them, like, this game is built for that, and it just has so much more stuff in it than other games without shitting the bed. Like, I don't know, they have done a really good job of balancing it all and giving you these game-breaking powers, but still being like, okay, now I really do have to think about how I'm approaching this boss and how I can, like, still make this work and get through it. And it just, I'm floored by it. I played until 4 a.m. the other night.
No.
I was playing Indiana Jones last night, Ben.
Yeah.
And I played for 10 minutes before I fell asleep. And then I woke up at 3 a.m. and my controller had shut itself off. My TV shut itself off. Like, everything was just like, this guy's knocked out. He's done. And the night before that, I played this until 4 a.m. and was like, I finally have to go to bed. But I really, like, I had to tear myself away from my
That's why you fell asleep playing Indiana Jones, because you were up till 4 a.m.
Yeah, come on, man.
Also, I'm running on so little sleep every day that it takes something special to keep me awake at night.
If you're ever falling asleep in Indiana Jones, by the way, just try cracking your whip, because it's the loudest sound effect in video game history. It's ridiculous.
It is so loud. And last night when I was playing, I was like, behind enemy lines with those fascists, and it's like, there's a guy with his back to me, and I'm trying to climb up this thing, and it's just like this thunderbolt as I start climbing up this. Yeah, very funny.
Diceomancer, everybody. It's only on Steam at the moment, but Diceomancer, I mean, Jeff, this sounds like it's your top 3 of the year level?
It's gonna be up there. It's rising. Like, at this point, I haven't been able to put as much time into it as some other games that are still gonna be higher. But yowzers, I was not expecting. I mean, you had brought this up, and the first time I looked at a trailer, I was like, I don't need another one of these.
Correct.
And then I saw, like, it was overwhelmingly positive on Steam, and I was like, okay, I should check it out. And here we are. Here we are. I told you, I was yelling at you in the Slack channel. You had left it off the list of things to talk about.
That's true.
I was like, no, we got to do it.
All right.
I gotta rep for this one.
I love it. I'm impressed. And now, do you want to keep raving about Path of Exile 2 for 40 minutes?
Yeah, sure. Path of Exile 2 seems cool. Honestly, I have not played enough of it. I know it really seems to be doing it for the fans of the first game and for Diablo fans. And I was very excited when I did start it. And full caveat, I have only played it on Steam Deck at this point.
Sure.
I've only had managed to do one session. It doesn't run super well on Steam Deck, so it is clearly not the way to play it. But I think once you, well, I mean, it's free to play, so you can, and I think your account carries over to whatever you're playing on it. So I do want to download it for a console to play it.
Yeah, I was because like on Steam it says like $30, but I guess that's like a
it's because it's in early access right now.
Okay, right.
Yeah, it's in early access right now. But I was very happy to see once I started playing, like, it is doing what Diablo 4 didn't for me, because Diablo 4 kind of switched to, like, they slowed down the level of play, and they put their dodge on like a cooldown timer, which completely changes the feeling of it. And this feels more in line with, the Diablo 3. You can roll anytime you want. It plays almost like a twin stick shooter if you are playing as one of the ranged characters, which is the one that I started. I also started with the one that people are like, this one plays completely different than any other character, and it feels like a completely different game. So I don't know what base Path of Exile 2 is supposed to feel like, I guess. But I have been enjoying it. It is a ton of systems to learn up front, because I wasn't a Path of Exile, and you look at like the passive skill tree, and it is like, is this a parody of what skill trees are? Because there are so many little nodes and everything. But everything that I have managed to figure out at this point, I have been enjoying it, and it has been scratching that Diablo 3 kind of nostalgia for me. Yeah, which is closer to what I want from these games than the direction Diablo went for the fourth game.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like it's kind of a similar direction with Diablo 4, just like thematically, where it's like we're going darker, grittier, more gory. And then also it seems like, I mean, Path of Exile 2 is kicking butt numbers-wise, and people are loving it. And I guess the overall direction is darker and harder is the tone for Path of Exile 2.
I guess.
Okay.
I didn't play the first one, so those are the kind of questions I can't answer.
Sure.
But like everything that I have read about it from larger fans say that apparently the end game is really good once you start getting to end game stuff. And
sure.
It seems like it is living up to what people have wanted. As a complete novice and new person to the series, like, I have been enjoying it. I wish it was better on Steam Deck, because it would be a perfect Steam Deck game. But it's still early access right now, and they're figuring their stuff out. But it seems cool.
There we go. Path of Exile 2. We should probably make room for some other folks here, eh?
Yeah.
I guess that makes
Jeff,
sense.
Before you clap out, I need to tell you something.
Yes.
I beat Waldorf's Journey.
Nice.
I haven't cherried it, but I've gotten like close, and it's amazing that it goes from the least playable game I've ever played to like, I'm getting
right.
it.
That is the exact. I had that exact epiphany when I was streaming it. I was like, I guess we'll try this one. I was playing through each one successively, so I was like, oh yeah, this one. And then I just completely fell in love with it. Once you start figuring out how to use the power-ups and stuff like that, and then you get the run that I did during my stream, I got like to the very end, and I missed that last jump, and it was very tense and disappointing. But yes, it feels very good once that game clicks. And then play the multiplayer with Leo, and it will blow your mind even more. That was super fun.
Am I reading
I just
this
like
correctly?
the sentence, I haven't cherried it yet. I think that's a fun sentence.
I haven't cherried it.
You haven't cherried the journey. Am I reading it correctly, Jacob, where you were like, UFO 50 is cool, I'm not really seeing it. Are you warming up to UFO 50? Is that what's happening here?
I keep going back. I keep kind of like, maybe I'll give Mortal another try. And then I'm like, oh no, I really like Mortal. So it's like, I don't think it quite works on me the way that it works on some other people, just because I don't have nostalgia for that era of games.
Yeah.
But like it is true what y'all said months ago, which is just every game has more depth than you think it does on first blush. And so you can it's like, I watch people play the games and I'm like, oh, I understand what I didn't understand about it before. And then I go back with that knowledge and get it more.
Perfect. All right. Jeff, I'm Kyle. Go play some more Indiana Jones. We'll see you guys later.
All right. See ya.
They're here, Jacob. They've arrived. Sarah Podzorski.
Hello.
Hello. And Kelsey Lewin.
Hey.
Welcome to the big show. Thank you for being here. We have so many more things to talk about, and we won't even bore you by talking about Indiana Jones, that old man game for old men. We're talking
Thank God.
young, cool, youthful
Not
game.
that young.
Oh, okay. We're talking Infinity Nikki, the game for cool people. We talked about it a bit on the podcast before, Sarah. What was it? That was like the open beta that we talked about?
Yeah, I got into it. Wasn't open. It was pretty exclusive. It was hard to get into.
Okay.
I got into the exclusive beta.
Here we go.
And now the game is officially out.
Yes. Free to play, and it's out on PS5 and Epic and mobile, which is the part that is really, really wild because this is a good looking game.
It's beautiful. It's the best looking game of 2024, in my opinion.
Whoa.
There's not a single ugly thing in this game. Everything
don't think I
is a
disagree,
joy
yeah.
to look at. Yeah,
Wow.
everything is a joy to look at. The animations are great. Just everything looks incredible.
It is, yeah, it's a delightful tone for Infinity Nikki here. Let's see. Okay, so you've been playing enough to kill a horse, Sarah, right?
Yes.
To kill a horse girl?
Need to be stopped.
Okay. Yeah, that's what we're here for.
Way too hard.
Perfect. Kelsey, have you remained sane, or are you also going way too hard on Infinity Nikki?
Yeah, my problem with this game is like it's definitely just one of those games that is designed to, make number go up, capture your attention.
Yeah.
Every, if I spend just 10 more minutes, I might get a cuter hat kind of thing. And while I am like grinding super hard on trying to finish games for the end of the year discussions, this is like the perfect dumb palate cleanser. And I don't mean dumb in like a bad way. I just mean it in like I can kind of turn my brain off and just like be happy with the things that are happening around me. Everything's sparkly and I get fun outfits and it's just a nice breezy like turn the brain off kind of game.
I am with you. We're like, sprinting through a ton of games, end of the year. I jumped into this, and you can check out the stream. It's archived on the MinnMax Stream Archives channel. Because I started this, and I was like, I think I'm going to like this more than Indiana Jones. Like, I don't think I'm going to like Indiana Jones that much. And this game is just soothing and peaceful. And, like, the music. I was playing this thinking, like, this is a lovely time to play this game. It's a great Christmas time game. It just feels festive. And it feels surprisingly good playing on a controller on PC here, because I think I went in maybe with some assumptions, Sarah, of like free to play clothing game that's also on phones. I don't know. And then you jump into it and it's like, this is solid. This is cool. And then when you start to realize, the amount of talent going into this thing, where the director of Infinity Nikki here was a designer on Breath of the Wild, and he was actually the director for the DLC in Breath of the Wild, the whole expansion pass and stuff. So like pretty high role for Breath of the Wild. And then he left and now he's at Paper Games, this Chinese company that made this. And Sarah, I know we talked about it before, Infinity Nikki, open world clothing dress up game.
It's an open world, I would say, collecting and crafting game.
Okay, better way to put it.
Along with it will have additional like PvP elements to it. Probably like events and stuff that will go on seasonally. So that's the kind of free to play it is.
Okay. And I certainly haven't hit a point yet where it's bugging me on the free to play front. Like, what I want to do in this game is just explore. They basically have the equivalent of shrines around the world. Like, I just want to go collect those, collect the Whim Stars, have a good time, collect some bugs, pet some dogs. And then every once in a while, I'll open a menu and there's a bunch of different currencies and crap like that. But so far, at least, I've been able to kind of like push that aside. But does it get skeezy?
No, I don't think I ever really hit like what they call a pinch point in gacha games, where like you actually need to spend money to get through the games. I will say it does have a lot of systems in it that I feel like are overwhelming people immediately.
Right.
And you can literally just ignore those and it's not going to really affect how your game goes. Like, you can just do kind of whatever you want, and then once you kind of warm up to one system, you can move on to another system, and then move on to another system kind of thing. Don't expect to go in it and, like, understand how it all works.
That's such a weird
because
thing,
like, I've been playing these, like, gacha dress-up games. This is, like, the one gacha I play, so this is all very familiar to me. Like, I get it. But no, I don't think we will be hitting... I think the pinch point is they will purposely continue to make really, really cute outfits that they will then tell you, like, if you want this outfit, $5. Like, that is the pinch point. But, like, if you're not easily like, I gotta have that. I don't think there's gonna be like you physically can't get past this point unless you give us $5.
It's weird to me, and this is why I'm naive, but I look at this and I look at like those free-to-play games where it's like, hey, pay for skins. I assume it's like, okay, people are going to be paying for some pervy skins. Okay, it's going to be some dorky crap. Correct me if I'm wrong. Not a pervy game. It's not like you're paying to have like skin-tight ladies
like
run around at all.
Bugs the crap out of me is like men will look at Infinity Nikki and they go, I don't understand who that's for. It must be for perverts. Because you literally cannot comprehend a game that would target women.
Yes.
You can't fathom a woman.
Perverts.
You literally need to look
Dogs,
inside
women.
yourself and say, why do I not, like, why does this game, like, why do I assume this? Why do I assume that because this game doesn't target me in some way, it's for, like, weirdos, like perverts?
Yep. But no pervs allowed. There's a clear gate at the front of Infinity Nikki. No, I think you're totally right. I think that is absolutely a huge part of it. But I think it's also that idea of like some game I don't understand coming from China and it's about costumes and it stars women. I assume it's going to be weird and pervy. And it's like, no, not at all.
Like it does seem, you know, in previous years we've given probably best game we didn't play to Genshin Impact and Honkai Star Rail, and this year's version of that is Zenless Zone Zero, which does seem generously to be a game for perverts.
Okay,
and so it's, you know, it's like the model for that does exist, and so it's refreshing that this does not seem to be that.
No, Floof Queen Emily in the community wrote in, and she says, I've been playing nothing but Infinity Nikki for the past week, and I really just want to highlight the sentiment I've seen about the game, about just how much the game embraces femininity with a giant warm bear hug, and how respectful it is towards women, and just how rarely this feeling is ever felt about games in general. It feels incredibly liberating to play a game that feels like it was made with people like me in mind. Hope you all have a fantastic end of the year. Thank you, Emily.
Yeah. I will say, like, being a woman in gaming, you like they stop targeting you once you're like no longer a child. And then a lot of games for women also overlap with games for children, like Animal Crossing, you know, like all those games are like they both cover women and children. And then the other games I play are obviously like women and men. But like so rarely do you get a game that's just like women with money. Like women
Adult women.
Yeah, because it's like women are like the largest, like one of the largest economic forces. But we are not really targeted in many games like for like this.
Right.
So I think that's why Nikki has such a budget, is because the Nikki mobile game makes bank.
Really?
And so does what is it called? Love in Deep Space. You don't even know what that is, Ben.
No.
Don't look it up.
Even in
but,
the
like,
real
they
world, I
make
don't know what that is.
bank off of women because nobody else is.
And this game is kicking butt, right? Infinity Nikki, this version is also annihilating?
Yeah, absolutely. It's got like 10 million downloads.
Oh my God.
A lot of people are playing it, so I think they're going to keep it up with like making money off of this.
Do the previous games also have this much kind of lore? Because there's like
I would say they're worse.
Okay, because the opening of this, I know we talked about it before, but it is bizarre of just like this dying from software character shoving her essence into you and be like, revive the miracle outfit, blah. Like it's a weirder tone than I was expecting for a dress-up game, with all due respect.
Well, I think that's why it's for like adults, you know?
Yeah.
It's like not for, you're like, well, this is a game for girls, so like, why isn't it a childish story? And it gets like, the Nikki franchise, it goes off the rails. It's got guns in it, it's got violence in it, it's got like death and everything in it.
I've run into a mob already, like just full-on Italian mob, but make it fashion. And yeah, it's very strange.
Kelsey, are you running into kind of roadblocks of all the systems, or have you also just found the sweet spot of like play it that you want to play?
I mean, I think I'm just kind of handling it like Sarah said, which is just, I'm like, there are, I think, genuinely 7 or 8 currencies in this, like, and they are all used for different things. Only a couple of them are like paid for currencies. The rest of them are just like other things you collect that do different things. And I'm just kind of like, eventually these will all sink in and make sense to me. I'm just going to focus on the ones that like I need to use right now, which is like bling, the like most standard currency that you use to like buy outfits in the world. And I think you can't purchase on its own with real money. Maybe you can, but
I mean, it'll come in like bundles. But
you can get like a bonus for for some of the purchases or whatever. But yeah, so I'm just trying to take it like 1 or 2 systems at a time. And I don't feel like that's slowed me down at all at this point. I definitely get the sense that like unless you are the correct kind of sicko that like really wants specific outfits, you may just like never spend a dime or even feel like you want to spend a dime. Like I looked at all of the outfits that you can like pay for right now and I'm like, none of those are really speaking to me. So maybe later there'll be one that I'm like, that's worth $2, but not right now.
I mean, the real test, Sarah, open your wallet. How much have you poured into the sucker?
I already bought. So so when you buy the outfits in the game, you use like a very specific currency. And I was like, F it, like let's just go for the best deal. So I already put in $100 because we're locked in.
All right, there it is. All right.
I was like, you know what? I'm gonna play this for like a long time. Just get the best deal.
All right.
$100.
Yep, why not? Okay, so walk us through.
I feel like if I did that, I would start spending it on stupid stuff that like I don't really want that much.
I'm sitting on it. I'm sitting on my currency, waiting for those exclusive drops.
Like Bitcoin, it'll accrue and become more valuable.
Bling coin, yeah. Walk us through.
Eventually there will be like PvP in this game where you do like fashion versus fashion. Oh. And there's like a bunch of like online tournaments and stuff that will involve the outfits. And it's like, I will not be delayed. I will not be behind. I'll be there. I'll be winning. I'll be on top.
I've only done like one fashion battle in the world so far. But it was very much just like if you have higher star items, they do better. So I assume that's where it starts to get really like gacha-y is like, well, if you want to be better than the random people you play online, you better have a bunch of 5-star items, which you gotta fork over a bunch of money for.
I was expecting it to have a lot more of kind of like that social online hub vibe, but I was confused. I guess when I was streaming,
I don't think that's set up yet.
Okay.
Because if you go into the Stylist Guild at the top floor, that's where they're putting all of it.
Yeah.
But like nobody has any clothes right now.
Gotcha. Okay.
It just came out, so I don't know how that would work.
What is your daily? Run us through. What are you doing in this game at your extremely high end, Sarah? What's the life like?
I kind of just do whatever I feel like doing. Like sometimes I'll do the main story, and then sometimes I'll be like, okay, well I really want to focus on like crafting these outfits. So I'll like hunt for materials, or I'll like do additional things to get extra materials so I can make these like better outfits. Sometimes I just want to like design outfits, so I'll go and I'll like take pretty photos in specific locations of the world. I have a bunch of really nice photos. So I'll find a location that I'll really like, and then I'll make an outfit to like blend into the location. Then you can post it like globally and people can see it and like it and stuff. And then I'll do some side quests, like do my dailies, just bounce around. There's literally almost too much to do in this game, where there's not a moment where you're like, I don't feel like doing this anymore, because there will probably be something else that you do feel like doing.
Anytime I get like a side quest, I find myself just like doing the Monster Hunter mash through the dialogue. I'm not listening.
Yeah, I mean, some of it's really, some of the side quests are good, and then others are just like, can you find the 3 birds in this photo? And it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
Okay.
Some of the side quests, like not all side quests are created equal. Some are definitely better than others.
Jeez.
So should I like try to listen? I should try to read them and then make that.
If it starts taking you to secondary locations, like I had one where I was like chasing a sheep down to like 5 different people, and then it turned out the sheep competed in like an event and won the event, and then I had to present the medal to the sheep. And that's when I started paying attention. I was like, what is happening here?
Is this in the parlance that everybody who's listening to this podcast understands, is this your Diceomancer, Sarah? Is this like secret?
I wasn't here for the first half, so I don't know what that means.
Just try and guess though. Is this your Diceomancer?
I
Stefan really likes it.
More
That's
than
what
my
I
Diceomancer.
This is better than Diceomancer.
I think this is my Hitman.
Whoa. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Like exact bullseye on what you want to be playing this year is Infinity Nikki.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. High, tall words for Infinity Nikki. This is going to be your Christmas break game. This is going to be your everything game.
Yeah. This is definitely like replacing like Final Fantasy 14.
Interesting.
Right? Well, because in Final Fantasy 14, what I liked to do was like work on making outfits and then taking photos, and this is just the outfits are better and it's way easier, and I don't have to play dungeons over and over and over again.
And there's not a subscription fee.
Yeah, well, I already paid $100, so
right. Just
they got my money no matter what.
Yeah,
but it's like this game just lets me do what I've always wanted to do in games, but they like made it. But I had to like make my own fun.
Right.
This game, it is the fun. Like, that's the point.
And like we talked about last time, when you were streaming it and you opened up the outfit scene and just all the customization, it literally took your breath away with the amount that you can dress these people up.
So beautiful. And it's just like, whoever their designers are, because these aren't some like sad outfits, you know, like these are good, well-designed, very creative outfits. Like, just kudos to them because they nailed it.
Yeah, and
I'm so impressed by the clothes I've been seeing in this game, and like even just I've been doing the stupid like in-game gotcha ball thing where you get just like a random piece of clothing, and like every time there's like a bazillion cool different hairstyles, and every piece of clothing just looks like someone who cared made it. Like, there is not just like, yeah, I guess it's a dress. I guess it's a t-shirt. Like, this dress is frilly, whatever. Like, it looks like someone who cares about fashion is making all of these. So even the stuff that's not my style, I'm like, that looks like well crafted. Mm-hmm. That would be really cool for someone who likes this style.
Yeah. Hey, you know what else is well crafted, Sarah?
What are you gonna say? What?
This is the worst response.
What are you trying to now compare to the brilliance that is Infinity Nikki, Ben?
That's the worst response when you ask somebody a question is, what are you trying to say by asking me that question?
What segue are you trying to create here?
Well, Sarah, when I think well-crafted clothing, I think of one thing, and that's MeUndies, everybody.
Oh my God.
If you have some crappy underwear in your life, get rid of it. Throw it out the door. If you're driving in your car right now, take your underwear off and throw it out the window. Nature will understand if you have to litter with your underwear because you need to replace it. You need some MeUndies in your life. Jacob, do you know that underwear can be like really comfortable and it can fit well and feel good on your body?
I'm worried about what your experience with underwear has been the rest of your life.
You're learning lessons like 30 years later than us.
Well, I'm trying to impart. I assume other people out there don't know that you shouldn't be wearing a little potato sack for underwear. You can actually have like nice underwear in your life, and that's what MeUndies is all about. They want you to know that this holiday season, what could be a better gift for everyone on your list than the gift of comfort? That's a great way to phrase it. Thank you, MeUndies. They say they have style for everyone. They have versatile loungewear, unmatched comfort. The signature super soft micromodal fabric is breathable, stretchy, and oh so comfy, making it ideal for all day wear. You can knock out all your holiday gifting needs today with MeUndies to get exclusive holiday deals and savings all month long. Go to MeUndies.com/MinnMax. Enter the promo code MinnMax. That's MeUndies.com/MinnMax. And the code is MinnMax. MeUndies, everybody. Comfort from the outside in with your underwear. You don't get to buy underwear in Infinity Nikki, do you?
I swear to God.
Yeah.
If you try to make Infinity Nikki, if you say underwear, Nikki, and pervert anymore,
I'm not saying
I will come to your house. I will come to your house.
And Stellar Blade is right there. If you want to talk about pervy game outfits.
Yeah, you're right. Okay. That's right, everybody. MeUndies.com. Okay, there's this other game. Jacob, walk me through how you learned about Starstruck Hands of Time. Is this the journey that I think you went on?
I look, it's through the magic of MinnMax and the MinnMax community. Because I was watching the giant new show bonus pod where Haley and Leo were just watching like 60 trailers for games that people from the community had sent in, and they were like, people should play this game. And one of them was this game called Starstruck Hands of Time. And both Haley and Leo and me went, what the hell is that?
Yeah, it's Test recommended it on that big list, which, by the way, shout out, like, that episode of Bonus Pod, which is public for everybody on YouTube. You're not going to find a better roundup of underappreciated games this year. Like, I watched that whole thing. Truly, I was like, everyone was amazing.
It was, I messaged this to Kelsey, but I was like, it's our job to know about games, and no one on this podcast knew about this game. What are we doing? Like, what?
And I'm especially so mad about this because this game is like, the developer called themselves Create-Delic, which is just a riff on one of my favorite developers of all time, Love Delic, which is a Japanese company. They only made a couple of games, but it's Moon, which is like one of my favorite games of all time. And I was like, how I missed it? This is like for me.
Yeah, so it's just out on Steam right now, but Starstruck Hands of Time. But yeah, I started this thing too. It's like, it's one of those games that you start and it's like, what? Games aren't hard, everybody. I'm sure they're impossible to make, but like, just give us simple stuff like this. Just a really creative story of friends, Earthbound-ish vibes. Is that the best way to put what's going on here?
Yeah, here's the thing. I would never describe this game as a simple premise. It is an incredibly involved series of things that get you to this earthboundy town.
But when it's also friendly and conveyed with the story of kids going on adventure, granted through layers of time travel and basically a Terminator situation of this kid is kind of the John Connor and he's going to end up saving humanity. We're trying to get a glimpse and set him on the right path as a finger in hand coming in from the year 30XX. So other than all that stuff, it's a very simple, delightfully simple little game.
No, and it gets more complicated than that.
Oh, really? Oh, good.
Yep.
Okay, but in the beginning, at least, it's like little earthboundy, little night in the woodsy, and especially a big part of that is like the music. Like, I was surprised by how much of this game is a rhythm game where you're playing these notes. Does that stay throughout the entire game of you doing these music sections?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
It is a rhythm game. You know, it's a rhythm game where you walk around and do some other stuff, but like I think it describes itself as a rhythm game. And it says proudly at the beginning, you can play this with a Guitar Hero controller, which I wish I had.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm so curious what that's actually like and like how that mapping works on the Guitar Hero controller.
Unfortunately, I was playing on Steam Deck, so I did not get a chance to do the Guitar Hero controller, but I want to play through this again because it's such a dense, like, I think it was about 5 hours to finish for me. But it's like such a dense 5 hours that I want to play through it again. And so I think I'm going to try to do the Guitar Hero controller the second time around.
Okay.
Yeah, it's one of those games where it's like, Ben, the part that you've played is kind of like the first 2.5, 3 hours is something.
Okay.
And then the last 2 hours are like full on psychosocial freak out, completely kind of the game is like crumbling and rebuilding around you for almost half its length of like, which is the finale.
Awesome. I can't wait. That sounds fantastic. Like even early on having the layer of like, okay, whenever you're playing as the big hand, which you get to customize to look exactly like your hand, which makes you really self-conscious about your hands. But you're playing that, and then you just have a big hammer and big tools, and you just smash the hell out of the town as a way of doing what exactly? What is the point of smashing the hell out of everything? It's fun?
Help the protagonist get over a fence.
Right.
Yeah,
destroy the entire town.
It's usually framed in a way where it's like, there is an obstacle in the way of the protagonist. In order to get to fixing this obstacle, you kind of have to destroy a lot of stuff leading up to that. And it's like, it doesn't really make sense. It's just like, well, we can't give you the hammer until you've destroyed 20% of the town, and you'll need the hammer to do this. So
yeah, the voices in this game, I'm still trying to understand. Like, it has almost like Animal Crossing.
Moon.
It's just the
It's
exact.
Moon.
So
this is exactly what Moon is.
So I played like the first hour of Moon. I'm trying to remember. Did it also have that idea where it's just like, whatever the text is that these characters are saying, it's jumbled English of them saying other words?
Yes.
Okay.
That's the exact sound design in Moon.
Okay. God, I forgot about that detail.
Yeah, so it's like, yeah, when someone is speaking, it's like these kind of like slightly old-timey sounding recordings. Like the recording sounds like it's done with like an older device, kind of like, you know, like think like an old radio. And in fact, a lot of people have that kind of like Atlantic accent kind of thing that doesn't exist anymore.
Sure.
And it'll just be like sped up really short phrases that are not actually what they're saying. It's weird to describe, but the effect is really cool.
It's like they're the common reference for everybody. Do you remember the NASA level in Tetris Effect? How it's like sampling different things for like NASA recordings? It's exactly that feeling of just kind of jumbled where you can kind of make out some words, but it's just so chaotic. It just is off-putting in a weird way.
It does. One of the main characters has as one of her words, it just seems like she says shart. And you can like hear her say shart.
Jacob, I found out that it's not everyone gets the same like pockets of words.
What?
Because I was watching like a different playthrough, and I was like, oh, my Lucy doesn't say that. Like
That's weird.
What
yeah.
a weird
So I
thing.
didn't have Shart, unfortunately. I'm a little upset about that.
No one's perfect.
But also, I mean, we should say, like, I played through Thank Goodness You're Here this year, and I found it like charming.
Yeah.
I laughed much harder at things that happened in this game than Thank Goodness You're Here. Like I think it's just a humor style thing where the stuff that this is doing hits a little better for me, but like it is shockingly dark at places, but also like really, really funny and silly, and will kind of like go in way more than you think it's going to on certain bits.
Yeah.
In ways that I really enjoyed.
So this is kind of the year-end surprise hidden gem that everyone's kind of grabbing onto. That's the vibe I'm getting for Starstruck here.
Yeah, I'm shoving it somewhere into my top 10, and I'm still trying to figure out exactly where it fits. But I mean, this was a really, just a really affecting game for me. I thought just the game direction, just the simple, like, you have this combination of kind of adventure game-y stuff. It's very much like a lot of the other Love Delic games where there's just kind of like hidden gags everywhere if you know where to look. And it's just kind of, I forget who described it this way, but someone described the Love Delic games as like a haunted house, but for humor. Like, so, you know, like it's, you're like, you know that everywhere you look, if you like look around a corner, there's going to be something, but it's just going to be a completely unexpected humor thing. That combined with the rhythm game sections, which are like, I would say fairly difficult. Like I actually turned it down to easy once or twice just because like there's like text and lyrics and stuff happening while you're playing the game. And I was finding it too difficult to like absorb that and actually be able to do the rhythm game part. So it's good. It's fairly difficult, but in like in a good way. And then, yeah, the destruction parts are just super fun. It's just very like, you know, Katamari vibes, just take 5 minutes and just have a blast smashing things and like finding interesting ways to take things apart, because some things can only be smashed with a hammer, some things can only be taken apart with like a screwdriver. If you like look around enough, again, you'll just find some weird stuff, like there's like little whack-a-mole guys off in the corner. So it's just it's a really good combination of interesting gameplay elements.
Yeah.
And just again, the art design is like the characters while you're playing look like they are, you know, scanned in clay models of characters, but then there will be in cutscenes live action, just like filmed with the camera scenes in which you like watch a clay model of a character get smashed, just like it's crushed and then like turned into something else.
And I learned that the guy who did the character models for that is the same one who did the like fake ones for Mother 3. That you see everywhere. Like if you ever see the clay models of the Mother 3 characters that float around, that was like a fan project, and it's that same artist.
Oh, wow.
Oh, interesting. Do you know what country was this made in? Pop quiz, everybody.
I want to say it said it was Polish, but I don't know. That like Create Delic doesn't really like have a presence. Like it has like a, because I mean I was fascinated by this game. Yeah, I mean, it says Polish, but like this website is literally just, or it had Polish to English localization.
Huh.
It's a very bare bones website.
But then
There's not a
this
lot
says Create Delic LLC is something located in the United States.
Okay, it's beyond all time.
I trust
Studios
that
based
more.
in the United States.
Yeah.
And it's like, again, not to spoil too much stuff, but like it makes sense that this game would have come from Poland. Like some of the story turns that it takes are just really wild. And it's Kelsey and I had like a shockingly deep conversation about this game's themes that you would not expect based on you're playing as a little Play-Doh character who runs around and sings and plays guitar.
All right.
Yeah,
all right.
Jacob had to do the thing from the parody article about him where he has to explain the themes, the like meta narratives to me. So
Right. Congratulations on hitting the point of parody, by the way, Jacob.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ben, you should beat this one.
Okay.
Like not necessarily before 210s, but like it doesn't take that long, and the ending is just so weird that I think you will be really into it.
All right, I gotta see
I
it.
think there will be a like moment of the year on my list from this game.
I have one too, and I'm really curious what yours is because there are a lot potential.
Huh. All right, Starstruck, Hands of Time, just on Steam right now, I do believe. But there we go. Shout out to Tess in the Discord for suggesting it on that episode of Bonus Pod. And again, if you're looking for more hidden gems, you can't do better than finding that Bonus Pod on MinnMax's YouTube channel with Haley and Leo going through all the community suggestions, because it's like 60 amazing picks, and a lot of them were under the radar, even for me. Also, 2025. Jacob, we can't start talking about this yet. It's 2024, man. What are you doing? You're playing 2025 games?
That's right.
Man, you can't.
And you
stop
can
this game.
too.
My
it's
God,
not exclusive.
is it? So it's a public demo for Cairn at this point, right?
Cairn. Yes, the new game by the Game Bakers, who made one of my favorite games, Fury, and also Haven, which I did not play all the way through.
Okay, right on. And so Cairn, you played the demo, and you were like, "We need to talk about Cairn."
It's the thing is like, it is a self-contained demo that I was like, this was awesome as an experience, not even as like a taste of something larger, but I just playing the demo was fun enough that if that was the whole game, I would still want to talk about it.
Huh. And I think, shorthand, we saw this trailer a while ago for this mountain climbing game. And it's like, we just played Jusant. Do we really need another mountain climbing game?
Yes.
Okay.
Because this is functionally nothing like Jusant.
Perfect.
Like that's what's really exciting about it. It is almost an entirely different genre. It is basically, Jusant was a game where you climbed, and it was very much like the Uncharted or Tomb Raider climbing, where there were just predefined handholds and you jumped from one to the other, and like it was not a particularly technical game. It was really pretty and vibesy.
Right.
This is, there are no predefined handholds, and you control every arm and leg movement independently and consciously, and it is incredibly stressful in a really good way, where like the tutorial is just in a climbing gym, just a normal looking climbing gym if you've ever been to one, and it just has a bunch of different routes. In climbing, it goes from like V0 to 8, and like climbing the hardest wall in the tutorial level was harder and more engaging than anything I did in the entirety of Jusant. And that's not even like where the demo ends, but just getting up those walls is incredible. And it's so like nitty gritty. You are literally thinking about every limb movement.
And it's not like it's less arcadey. I mean, is it realistic? It still feels like a weird abstract game. So that's what I'm trying to piece together.
It is realistic. And the reason that I know this is because I don't climb and Annie does, and she came in while I was playing and falling off this wall and like talked me through how to get through a thing. Like when you're climbing, you refer to like problems, like you're solving a problem in order of like, this handhold's over here and I'm over here. How do I get there?
Right.
And it is a lot of like very, like specific, you put your leg here so then you can reach up here and then you can brace yourself like this. And it's like, you are just problem solving through that game. And then after you get out of the climbing wall, it just lets you loose on like a giant rock face with no direction of like, this is a good way to approach it. And you just have to like look at it and kind of think through your route before you even start climbing. It's really impressively, if it's like, if Jusant is Uncharted, this is like Arma, in the level of like detail that you have to think through stuff.
Jesus. All right. Cairn. The demo's out now. If you want to check it out, that's Cairn. You can check the description if you want the exact spelling there too, but that's cool. I'm looking forward to that final game that comes out in 2025. Kelsey,
Yes.
how are you?
Good.
Okay, I'm warming up because we're gonna sing karaoke. Next week.
I've been thinking more about this.
Yeah.
We will have just podcasted for like 20 hours.
We're gonna be so sick of each other, and our voices are gonna be shot. Right.
Maybe we should have a backup plan. I would still like to do karaoke, but I'm already going to be chewing through cough drops, I think. So.
Yeah, sorry. I booked it last night, Kelsey, and there's no way out. So
let's go.
Yeah, just go for some nice subtle hits there. Anyways, hey, Kelsey, that's right. It's Patreon. Patreon.com/MinnMax with 2 N's, everybody. That's how you support this whole operation. And again, if you jump in at any tier, even that $2 tier, but the $5 tier is a sweet spot, if I may recommend anything under the sun, ad-free early access to this podcast each and every week, and you directly support it at the same time. And you get access to bonus pod, all of that exclusive content in the Patreon exclusive podcast feed. But jump in, support us before the 16th, and we'll DM you a Steam code for Kunitsu-Gami Path of the Goddess. It's a Christmas gift to us, and you get a Christmas gift as well, which is a great new game from this year. By just supporting independent games media, so we appreciate that. But shout out, of course, to some of our biggest supporters. Shout out to I'm 8-Bit. They want everybody to know about, first of all, their wonderful online store and their incredible big sale going on right now. It is the holiday event at I'm 8-Bit's wonderful online store. So you can go there. They have fresh stock for a ton of items that were sold out before, restocked, discounted items left and right, store-wide. If you're looking for a Christmas gift for yourself, for a loved one, for a dork in your life, or if you look in the mirror and you see a dork, you can go to im8bit.com, check out their store because they have a ton of great stuff in there. Vinyls, exclusive physical editions packed to the gills with awesome goodies inside. It's not just like, here's a physical edition of an indie game. It's a physical edition of an indie game, but then also there's 16 maps and a bunch of stickers and a scarf wedged in there, everything under the sun. So check out I'm8bit's wonderful online store, and you can use the promo code, the name again is Mr. Plow. The name again is Mr. Plow for 10% off of everything under $100 in I'm8bit's wonderful online store. And help support I'm8bit because they ship out a prize each and every week to whoever has the best question as we deem it. If you're a Patreon supporter at any tier, you can submit a question every single week. We choose our favorite. They win the prize thanks to I'm8bit. I'm8bit has shipped out a ton this year, so help support them, please. But whoever has the best question this week wins Toem, the Nintendo Switch physical edition of that black and white photography game, if you remember Toem. So the final round of community questions for 2024, big prize. Are you all ready to go and find the number one best person in this pile?
This is the last round.
This is the last round.
This is the last one?
I hadn't thought about that.
The last one. I mean, we'll be back in
This one had some
2025.
good questions in it, I will say.
Okay,
This
all
was
right.
a good batch.
But only one person can win, Sarah, and I want to emphasize that as clearly as I can, is everyone else is trash except for this one person who gets the prize. Okay, here we go. Owen McCarter writes in and says, hey, MinnMax, Time Magazine, they just put out their top 10 games of 2024, and it's objectively bad. So, see if you're able to guess what the games are in it. Bonus points if you get the position. Okay, let's try and do some guessing. Objectively
Ben,
bad.
do you know this, or are you?
I'm
also
looking at the list, so you guys don't look at the list. Do you want me just to give hints, or you want to start lobbing games out there and we'll see if it's on there? I should probably give hints.
I kind of want like a hint for like. I want to know in what way is it bad? Like, is it generic or insane or?
There's one on here which is a game that I enjoyed playing, but I saw it on a top 10 list for the year and I said, what is wrong with everybody? And their number one.
Have I played any of the games on this list?
Great question. You have. Yes, you've played one of them, Sarah.
Is it Final Fantasy VII?
I guess you did. Yeah, you did go halfway through Rebirth. So Rebirth is number 3 on this list. So even, Broken Clock, I guess they're right there.
Okay.
But other than that.
Like Overwatch 2.
Oh, no, not that nutty, but I do like that angle. Let's see. Let's go for the wacky options on this list. One of them is a game that Janet and I played, enjoyed. It is a dumb game for babies, but I beat it. In a time when I should have been going back to Like a Dragon, I decided to stick through this game.
Lego Horizon.
Lego Horizon Adventures at number 9 on Time
Whoa.
Magazine's top 10 for the year.
I would have never guessed that.
It's odd. Number 6 is DLC. 2 waves of DLC.
And it's not Elden Ring?
No,
It's not the Elden
no,
Ring.
Elden Ring's not in
What?
here, but this game's DLC is. We love the game, we love the DLC, but funny to see it number 6. Jacob, you especially, and Haley.
Oh, is it the Alan Wake 2 DLC?
Alan Wake 2, Night Springs and Lake House is sitting at number 6 for Times Magazine's top 10. Yeah, rest is not wild. Number 5 is a game that Jacob, you and I like. Number 5 still seems aggressive. It's a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful game.
Is it the Neva?
Yep, it's Neva. There we go. Number 4 is Silent Hill 2. That was the other one I was hinting for you, Sarah.
Okay.
Number 10 is a game that Kelsey loves this year more than anybody. It's not Persona 3 Reload. It's an action game.
Visions of Mana?
No, Helldivers 2.
The unicorn one?
Oh, okay.
Okay, this is number 1 on this list. What do y'all think? It's a game. Here's a hint. I mean, it's a solid game, divisive in some ways, solid.
Oh, is it Wukong?
Interesting. That's number 7. This is a solid game for number 1 that I feel like there's no universe where it cracks our 2 10s. For some reason, it just did not land in a huge way with anybody in this group.
Warhammer?
Interesting.
Dragon Age.
Dragon Age, the Veilguard is
Yeah.
number 1 for 2024, but we can't judge. We're not perfect. Our list is flawed.
Honestly, you know, good for them.
Yep.
PBS put out a best games of the year list that's like really long and seemingly just like any not PBS, NPR.
Okay.
Any NPR contributor could kind of write in, and like that is a good list if you want to hear some games you've never heard of before. Like it is a really interesting and diverse list.
I love it. Cody U writes in, they say, top 10 game of the year? That's a fine list. 2 10s? Now that's double fine, says Cody. Unfortunately, no Double Fine game will ever crack the 2 10s. Other than that, Tom Bryan writes in and says, hey, Jeff Keighley's taking a vacation. Who's the best possible replacement host of the Game Awards? He's not really.
Anyone.
He's going to be with us forever. Who would you like to see host the Game Awards?
I want them to get a developer from one of the games that's actually nominated for Game of the Year. Just some developer, just some like guy.
Some guy
Never
to
had
host
any,
the
like-
entire thing?
Yeah, and I just want to see him on stage, just like announcing the games. Just some random guy.
Yeah, but if he's from the team, isn't going to be like, and nomination for Game of the Year, Dragon Age the Veilguard. Wahoo!
I like how you're thinking about it that way and not the fact that they have zero media training to be on a stage. Like,
Right.
they'd be
Just
too
Reggie,
happy
baby.
if their game wins.
Yeah, there's some charming people in game development. I could see it.
What if someone who's been on a stage at a game conference before, Elijah Wood?
Ooh.
I
Great
feel like
pick.
that would be
Great pick.
just a nice, like not overly aggressive, but still fun enough game awards.
You're right. That is the correct answer. I'm sorry, everybody else. That is it. Because, like, the press would like it. It might get a little more media attention. He'd do a great job. He seemingly enjoys games. He can make some cheeky Lord of the Rings skits. We'll force him to do the skits, and then everyone will be happy. That's
I
good.
think you do need to, like, it needs to be someone who does, like, care about video games in some way, because he's definitely dragged some people onto that stage before that have no idea what they're talking
My
about.
kids
Al
play
Pacino loves
Fortnite.
video games.
I have a kid that plays games.
And ideally, it's not someone who created a whole Game Award system just to make himself feel better about himself. So
That seems like a stretch. I don't know. I'm still happy the Game Awards because I know we were recording this before we've seen the new one, so I'm sure it's weird. Maybe Elijah Wood did host the entire thing, and we just have no idea.
Or alternatively, Samuel Jackson in 2007.
Oh God.
Stay tuned for New Show Overflow.
New show overflow
no.
next week. We watch the Spike VGA Awards. They are a hoot. Boogie writes in and says, hey, crew, with the Game Awards nearly here and all the trailers and ads with it, here's a quick quiz. 2023's Game Awards, what's the name of the mobile game that they showed several expensive ads for during Summer Game Fest Live? Oh, Summer Game Fest Live that featured Chris Hemsworth, Christina Ricci, and Will Arnett.
Wait, wasn't it Clash of Clans?
Yeah.
It was from that studio, but it was not Clash
it was
of
like
Clans.
a different name. It was like Clash My
Clash
Clans of Clans.
Royale.
It was not Clash
Yeah.
Royale. It was not Clash My Clans.
But that was a developer, right?
It was that developer. Yep.
Okay, so I'm taking points for that.
Okay, Squad Busters is a name that we
Would
were
have never
all.
guessed. What a generic name.
We all looked at each other in the eye and said, "We'll never forget Squad Busters. It's going to be unforgivable, unforgettable." Bryce Blackmore writes in and says, "Hey, do you allocate time for games or just play when you feel like it?"
I feel like you have to allocate time when you have like especially in a GOTY situation.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, I have to play this game by X date or it's not happening at all, basically. But I feel like if I was like casual, it would just be whenever I wanted.
Yeah. Yeah, I do feel like...
I've definitely had to start making time for it, like specifically being like, okay, like I can't make plans tonight because I do need to play this game.
Yeah, and it's like, it's always such a scramble at the end of the year. Not complaining, it's a privilege, I understand that, but also it's like, is the lesson just I need to be this level of scrambling through the entire year if I want to feel at all like I'm on top of this stuff? But
it doesn't work because they release all the games in December for whatever reason nowadays. Like 5 games came out in the same week. What do you want from me?
Yep, it is tough.
Yeah, I think it's more, for me, it's not so much like, I mean, because at the end of the day, I'm playing video games and that's fun and that's great. It's more just like I feel guilty when we get to the actual discussion and it's something that someone is like a 10 out of 10 on and I'm like, sounds great, buddy. I've never played it. Don't know.
Yep. Yep.
Sounds good.
Yeah. Thankfully this year for the recordings, we'll have like a day gap. And so we can maybe scramble.
Finishing a video game at a day.
They can at least sample. They can taste. We can all play Wild Bastards.
I have one more day to feel bad about not playing your favorite games.
Guys, I'm getting really worried about the 210s this year. I'm looking forward to it, but I think it's going to be such a logjam of upper crust bubblers. I don't think we're bracing enough for like, there's going to be like 40 games that people are going to want to get in there. Should we place
bets now? I think it's not going to be that bad. I think people are going to be willing to make concessions.
I don't know, Sarah.
We've gotten nicer.
Yeah, maybe Infinity Nikki won't make the cut
before it starts.
Okay. Should we take a pledge this year? I feel like the pledge is kind of implied at this point, right? We've done it enough.
We need to say it.
Okay.
Oh, it's
like
part
American
of
students with the Pledge of Allegiance every day.
Let's just say the Pledge of Allegiance instead. Sorry, Haley. Zachary Lee Anderson writes in and says, "Hey, MinnMax crew, do you all have any games that you fought for at Game of the Year time that in hindsight you regret fighting so hard for? Or alternately, games that you regret not fighting harder for in previous years?"
I regret not pushing harder for Slay the Princess. I regret not finishing it before the Game of the Year awards.
Pick.
And I regret not representing it like I feel like it deserved to be represented.
I don't even know if we really talked about
Slay
it.
the Princess.
Yeah. I feel like that was one that started bubbling up later for the hype.
We brought it up,
but it came out like
us...
December 5th.
Is that what it was?
Late. I thought it came out a little bit earlier than that. But yeah, it was one of the ones that came at the last second and we just didn't have the time or the manpower.
Yeah. Just this year, I was playing some Forza Horizon 5 with the nephews, and I'm like, I can't believe I let this one go. I can't believe Bravely Default 2 got on the list.
What did you let it go for? I don't remember that one.
Somebody wanted Bravely Default 2 on the list over Forza Horizon 5,
God!
And I think that is an incorrect choice. But you know what? Nothing's perfect.
I still feel like I got away with something by Xenoblade 3 making, what was it, number 3
that
year?
Yeah, you did.
I think that was kind of a robbery. Like, it's true. But I also feel like I got away with something that year.
I think in retrospect, we're trying to be nice to you because it was your first 210s.
I think so too. I feel like it was, I don't feel like I earned it.
No.
This year, you don't get to do that any other time. So you saw the opportunity and you took it.
Yep.
I never got my first year free pass. I would like to use it on Infinity Nikki this year. Thank you very much.
Okay. Noted. Clock it, everybody. She's new. It's Sarah's evil twin. Joe Kafchinsky writes in and says, "What's your most indefensible take on games in 2024? Joe says that mine is that I liked the Alone in the Dark reboot more than I like the Silent Hill 2 remake. Controversial, Joe, but I like it.
I don't know if mine's like game specific, but I find myself hypocritically asking for games to not be open world anymore while I enjoy like some open world games. I think we should close the world. I don't think all the worlds need to be open."
Yep. I'm with you. Like playing just the first couple hours of Dragon Age, the Veilguard is like, thank God. Just give me a linear path.
Just take me there.
Yep, absolutely. Even like Final Fantasy 16, which I know not all the people love in this podcast, but still like structurally, that still felt refreshing. Just like, let me just keep rolling here.
I was kind of glad that like stories took a back seat kind of this year.
Yeah.
Like I think of our like 210s, I think like 4 of them are going to be really story centric, and I love my stories in games, and I love 1,000 Times Resist, but it was nice to play like 3 of those, and then like 20 games that were just like, feels good to click on things.
Yep, absolutely. Although Jeffem's going to make a big emotional case for Waldorf's journey and the narrative in that, I do think. Joe writes in, another Joe, and they say, hey, is Psych Odyssey episode 33 allowed for greatest work of art of all time for 2024 this year? Despite it being only one episode, it genuinely moved me in a way only it could. I didn't think I would ever cry at someone who I don't know's wedding. Yeah, of course episode 33 of Psych Odyssey is up for the greatest work of art. How could it not be?
Then they'll kill us.
I
They'll
know.
murder us.
3 of us on this call probably agree on it. Sarah's the one who will kill all of us.
And somehow it bumped.
I mean, I never get to win any of the greatest XYZs.
Okay, boo.
The Las Vegas Sphere won it. Like, these are empty, meaningless awards.
You know, on the topic of you can play, I was thinking, Sarah, I think your game of the year has won every time since you've started on the 210s,
It has.
right? Okay, so you
It
can't
has.
complain ever. That's my point.
Oh, well, I mean, I still will. You can't take that right away from me.
Damn it.
But I am not planning on it winning this year.
Okay.
There's too much against me this year.
It's going to be tricky. For Infinity Nikki, you mean?
Yeah, it's not going to get number 1.
Okay. So yeah, we should slot Psych Odyssey in again for greatest workout of all time, and somehow it'll bump Infinity Nikki off the 210s, even though that episode's recorded later.
Completely.
It just, I don't know how it's going to work mathematically, but somehow that'll happen, I think. Slycut writes in and says, hey everybody, a couple weeks ago, Ben made the joke that all of the engaged cohorts are going to have one big wedding. If it worked out that MinnMax could make a show out of this big triple wedding and foot the bill for it, would any of the cohorts be willing to get married this way?
A 3-way wedding?
Yeah, not for like jumbling who you're marrying, but just all in the same event, so it would save money.
I didn't know that was on the table until now.
I don't think it is.
I feel like the idea of content being made around a wedding is like my biggest nightmare.
100%.
That is like, I'm pretty cool with like the IRL content and stuff in general, but that I think like that level of intimacy being public is, yeah, I mean, nightmarish is the best word I have for that. Like that would make me so uncomfortable, so self-conscious, I cannot even begin to imagine.
No. And like having people on YouTube criticize your wedding vows, like that's just a dagger
Any
to your
comments
soul.
at all. I don't want to know that I did amazing on my wedding vows either.
Right.
I don't want...
Right.
It's
yeah.
like
want
people
feedback.
perceiving my family, because I've seen people like live stream weddings. I
Yeah.
saw like a live stream wedding on Twitch, and like this is weird. Like we're just looking at a bunch of like friends and family on a dance floor.
There's like, yeah, I don't want to see your grandma.
I don't
like
want-
that's so.
Yeah, I don't need to see like your aunts and your cousins and your nieces and nephews.
I would do it, and I wouldn't tell anyone that I actually got married like 2 months before in a very lovely small
Oh,
ceremony.
interesting.
And it would be like, oh yeah, this is my wedding. Dan Reichert's here, the person I always dreamed of being at my wedding.
He's the officiant. He brought Taco Bell for the whole team. How wonderful. I mean, that was his strategy, because he was the first person to get married at the Taco Bell, cantina in Las Vegas. And so that was the thing, is like, he said that his wife's family kept being like, okay, so when's the real wedding? It's like, no, that was actually the real wedding, was the Taco Bell thing. But then they had like a follow-up reception that was kind of the classy version. So kind of a flip version of what you're saying there, Jacob. So everybody's on board? Jacob, you in?
Yeah.
Great.
Or what if we just all got married to each other?
Ja-
Every
okay.
MinnMax cohort.
This is, Jacob, come on, man.
But
Get
what our
cool.
taxes look like?
That's a great question. Let's ask. Haley can do tax as well. She's a lawyer, right? Can she figure that out?
She's not from America. She
don't-
doesn't know our
She can
rules.
probably figure it out. She's going to say the Pledge of Allegiance. Joe, another Joe, a.k.a. Robo Joe, says, hey, MinnMax, first time writing in, it's for a better quest. I recently ran my 19th marathon and a new personal best at the ripe old age of 41. Way to go, Joe. I'm currently training for my 20th marathon just 12 weeks later. I'm planning to take this one easy and have fun, but plan to continue my quest to get faster in the years to come. My question is, have you ever started something and gotten so into it over time that suddenly you realize you've spent years with it?
Mine's like Twitch streaming.
Oh,
Like,
yeah?
it was like my 4-year anniversary Twitch streaming, and it doesn't seem like that. Like that's like going through school. That's like a high school of Twitch streaming. And it's become such a big part of my life that it's like I don't really like see myself stopping, but I also know it has to end eventually. But it's just become something I do. Like it's in my nature now. I don't know. It's one of those weird things where it really sneaks up on you. Like it's been 4 years of me playing video games on the internet for other people to watch.
Do you still enjoy it?
I mean, yeah, we're still going.
What do you think would ever stop you from doing it?
I don't know, probably just like a job or something.
Oh.
Or I just get too tired, too much to do.
Yeah, but I wonder, like, when is that breaking point of like, I am officially too tired right now? I don't
how
think
do you
anybody
like retire from Twitch streaming? You're like, anyways, goodbye forever.
Right.
It's gotta be like a slow fade, right? Like you're down to like one stream a week, then like one stream every 2 weeks, and then eventually people stop expecting anything of you, and you can just wave bye.
Goodbye.
Did you ever get into Twitch, Kelsey? Like in your peak YouTube days?
I did for a little bit. I'm not very good at it. I'm not very good at like being able to genuinely engage with a game and also entertain people at the same time. It's just a little too difficult for my tiny brain.
It is a specific skill set for sure. Sarah, you're very good at it. Congratulations.
Yeah, you just have to have 2 separate brains. One to game and the other to just like yap endlessly.
Right. And I don't even have half a brain to play a game. So the idea of trying to be entertaining on top of that, like, oh boy. Check out our Crow Country stream, everybody. We really made a lot of progress. We flew through that game. We knew exactly what we were doing the whole time.
I do think it's easier with a second person.
Yeah.
Like if you have a real life person to talk to, because then you're not like having to. Because my problem was like, especially, you know, I tried streaming like Monster Hunter and stuff, which is kind of an involved game you have to like be skillful at, and trying to like dip back into chat so that I had something to respond to and talk back and forth with while also trying to concentrate on that is just, that's rough.
Yeah.
But I can talk to people while I'm playing Monster Hunter.
Okay.
If you're just standing there.
Sure. Ricky Winterborn writes in and says, do you ever get a hankering to play a specific game in a dumb way? Ricky, this was like a laser shot to my heart, and I'm curious if it lands for anybody else. But Ricky says, for example, I'm very tempted to buy a PS1, like the redesign, with a tiny folding LCD screen, and to play a copy of Final Fantasy IX all the way through on it. I also associate the PS1 with Final Fantasy IX because I think my friend had it, and they must have come out like around the same time frame. Because when I think what game to play on a PS1 with that folding LCD screen, it's 100% Final Fantasy IX. So I appreciate where you're coming from, Ricky, even if people call you a freak and they cast stones on you on the street as you try and talk about how much you want to play this, but you're validated here. I get it.
I mean, before the Steam Deck, like I think I just have a thing for tiny screens, and like I'd prefer them to be handheld, but I've always liked those like little portable screens on stuff. So I have one of those PS1, PSONE, whatever LCD screens, and that was how I was playing some PS1 games for a little while, because I'm just like, I have this TV, but I kind of just want this like cozy, tiny, I want the world to be small.
Yep.
And fit in my hands.
Yeah. So that you can feel powerful.
Yeah, exactly.
Just like Jeff Keighley. Dominic Sachoki writes in, can 2025 please be the year of RPGs for MinnMax? I feel like this...
literally
is the year of
metaphor this
RPGs
year.
for MinnMax.
Okay, everyone relax. Let Dominic ask a question while Kelsey takes a big swig and comes up with a rebuttal. I do feel like this year was a great year for RPGs. Most years.
I feel like this was an okay year for RPGs.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, I thought there were a couple interesting ones, and I like Metaphor a lot. I don't know. I don't feel like there was anything that, like... This is going to be the year with the least amount of JRPGs on my top 10.
Interesting. Wow, I would have thought that this was a real Hall of Famer year for RPGs.
This is the annoying what counts as a JRPG conversation. Does Infinite Wealth count as a JRPG?
I think so. I think we're counting it. But yeah. I mean, I see what you mean. Like, it's... My brain doesn't immediately classify it that way. But, like, if I think about it for 5 seconds, I'm like, yeah, yes, it is.
Because it's like... Rebirth, to me, felt nothing like a JRPG. But maybe it is. But, like, for me, it was like, I played 3... maybe JRPGs longer than 60 hours this year, which is way more time than I've spent with that genre in previous years. So I feel like I've been like overflowing with RPGs played. But that's still only 3 games, I guess.
And nothing compares to what 2025 is going to do to you, Jacob. That's when it's going to be the year of RPGs for MinnMax.
I guess so.
You can't argue against it. No, I was thinking literally just today before I read this question of like, what if I die and I never play Vagrant Story? What a terrible
really
fate.
good.
Okay, you played it back in the day?
Yeah. Well, no, I actually went back and played it 4 years ago.
Oh,
maybe,
wow.
something like
Okay.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, because I was thinking like, is there some way, like doing a deepest dive for all those old RPGs in PS1 that I've never played, probably too ambitious. We'd probably burn out. But I'm like, yeah, is there something where just like for a month at MinnMax, we can all just try out a bunch of those games and just have like a big group discussion after playing the first 10 hours of Vagrant Story or something? I think there's something there.
I've always wanted to play Parasite Eve. And
Okay.
I haven't, which I have in a similar category to Vagrant Story in my head.
Yeah. Valkyrie Profile is another one that's like, I've always been meaning to play it. It looks so up my alley and I just never got to it, but it's a bit too long for a deepest dive, so who knows? Mark S. writes in and says, have you ever been in a real life conversation and immediately felt like you chose the wrong dialogue option? Yes, I have, Mark. One time I was out near Sunburg, Minnesota, God's country as they call it. And there's the Ordway Prairie. It's like this beautiful prairie and there's like a lookout on top of a hill. And I was hanging out there with my friends in high school, just sitting around, and a big motorcycle gang pulled up at this lookout. It was like 20 people on motorcycles. So naturally we're like, this is uncomfortable. We're just sitting here shooting the shit, and now there's just a swarm of motorcycles around us. And one of them walks up to me and he goes, imagine like, raising Arizona, riding a motorcycle, that level of character. And he's like, hey, when you look out over this prairie, what does it make you think of? I was like, what is this guy doing? What does he want from me? And for whatever reason, I chose the worst possible answer, apparently, because I said, I was actually just thinking, it made me think of like woolly mammoths and how cool it would be to see woolly mammoths walking across this prairie. And the disgust on this guy's face made no sense. He's like, woolly mammoths? And then that launched him into, well, a lot of people believe in this thing called evolution, but we here, we don't believe in it. Because think about it this way.
The one hyper-Christian bike gang?
Yes. And I, for some reason, brought up woolly mammoths, which he hated. But he's like, I mean, obviously you know about the second law of thermodynamics. And I remember I said, no. And he looks around and goes, this guy doesn't know about the second law of thermodynamics. And he's like, look, I mean, you put an apple on a fence post, evolution says it'll get better, but it decays according to the second law of thermodynamics. Therefore, evolution does not exist.
That's not how that works.
Well, this is what this biker told me. And it was just one of those things of like, this guy will not leave us alone. And we'd feel weird just running away from this biker gang. So it was a long conversation about getting good with God. There we go.
I feel like that sounds kind of like a series of bad dialogue choices.
It was.
There.
You're right. You're right. I don't know what the right option was. I should have just said, God's beauty.
Run.
The end.
It was just escape.
Steal the motorcycle and leave him there.
One time after a totally fine and uneventful Thanksgiving dinner with extended family, I was just voicing my opinions on media as I often do. And this was in, I don't know, like 2017. And I said that the Big Bang Theory seemed like a show about what dumb people thought smart people were like. And that's how I found out that all of my extended family loves the show The Big Bang Theory. And they were not excited with that perspective.
You gotta test those audiences first. You gotta be like, so The Big Bang Theory, right? And then you just wait. And you gotta see what they look. You gotta see what they say.
Right. And then you can launch
test those waters.
And don't you dare touch young Sheldon. That's sacrosanct.
I would never touch young Sheldon.
Yeah, I think it was like one of the first times meeting my now in-laws. And I made some reference. We're just talking about tech or something. And I made some reference to like, I can't imagine buying one of those stupid speakers like Alexa that you talk to or whatever. And then my father-in-law is like, I love mine. And then he spent the rest of the weekend doing a lot of like, hey, Alexa, what's the temperature outside? Like making use of it as much as he possibly could, I guess, to prove the point that it was actually a cool investment and it is cool to yell in your house to get answers for things. Have people stopped doing that? Is that still popular?
Old people love to do that.
Okay.
They love to ask 12 times and have their machine mishear them instead of looking at the home screen of their phone.
Because I guess you got to squint and read one. I guess it's tricky, yeah.
My mom does like all the dictation for text. Like she does not type anymore. She just like talks into the phone. And so I've gotten pretty good at reading the typos and understanding what she was trying to say.
Oh boy. Hauling Gas wrote in and said, hey y'all, just wanted to say that I support Kyle's Lydia Tarr joke from last week's show and I encourage more intellectual jokes like that one. Even though Kyle is only present in spirit, I hope he hears this message of support and encouragement. Way to go, Kyle. You're doing God's work. Thank you, Hauling Gas and Kyle's Lydia Tarr joke from last week. Slickneck writes in and says, hello everybody. This one's for Kelsey. I'm a big baseball fan and my team is the Atlanta Braves. So
turn it off. No more. That's done.
But therefore, how excited are you about the Mets signing Juan Soto?
Yeah. Okay. The most excited? Can you be more excited than signing like the biggest star ever?
I don't know, Chandler.
15 years.
Okay, this is the part. Jacob, guess how much the contract was for this Juan Soto going to the Mets?
I think I saw this. It was like $750 million.
$760 million!
With the opportunity for it to go up to 801 after like extension stuff and performance bonuses.
In what universe is that worth it? Is he like the best baseball player of all time or currently, or what is this deal?
I mean, pretty much. Shohei Ohtani exists, so unfortunately he's going to be the second best baseball player of all time. But it really has almost everything to do with his age. So in baseball, it's very difficult to get someone like extremely long term and for their like healthy years. Juan Soto's a bit of an anomaly because he started so young. He like was already very good, very young. So he's still like, I forget how old, but he's in his like early to mid 20s. So 15 years, you just get, that's just it. That's the rest of his career.
What the hell?
You just get him until he cannot play baseball anymore.
That is so, I thought baseball was like an underpaid sport compared to
NFL
almost
or
all
the biggest contracts are in baseball. But like, I mean, look, I don't know the actual economics behind how this all works, but I know that I have heard, so the Dodgers paid like $700 million for Shohei Ohtani, and it's still most of it's deferred, so like they don't have to pay it all up front. But they have already in 1 year like made most of that money back just because he has like that much star power. So like selling his merch and his likeness and whatever that like brings to them, they're like, yeah, this is just straight up going to be profitable. Like this was a good investment, even, you know, I mean, and they won the World Series, but.
Yishta. Lamb Dance writes in and says, hey squad, since Indiana Jones recreates a classic scene from Raiders, what's a very specific movie moment you want to play through in a video game? Not like a full...
I would like to play through the Twilight baseball scene from Twilight
baby.
with the supermassive black hole in the background.
Yeah.
I would like to play vampire baseball.
Okay, and it's like, it's not even a full game. It's just like, here's a 30-minute sequence you can buy for $60. Play Twilight baseball. That's it. That's the correct answer.
My favorite scene in Mad Max Fury Road is the scene where they're driving through the canyon and their dirt bikes jumping over the truck and they're like shooting them off the dirt bikes.
Yeah.
And the bikes are like bouncing on the truck. That's just like, that is a video game level. And I just want to be able to, and then it's like, you know, they run out of ammo, so they shoot a guy with like a flare gun. You know, I just want to be able to do that.
That does seem pretty good. Yeah, I was thinking about it. I was like, a lot of mine are just kind of like turret sequences, which in games I don't really like. You know, but I was like, I don't know, the Terminator 2 LA River sequence. But even that's just, it'd be kind of a turret-y type thing. I don't think it'd be that great. So it's tough to find the right sequence, especially one that hasn't been like adapted into a game before. Because it's like, well, they've made like Lego Incredibles and stuff, and you can play through a lot of those set pieces. So it's tough to try and nail down. Let's see. David Perry asks, was there ever a point any one of you were pressured into writing something you didn't necessarily believe due to PR?
So I was never pressured. I mean, I've never been like an actual games journalist or anything like that. But I had for a little while, a friend of mine worked at Nintendo, and he was just like, and I was still doing YouTube, and he was like, hey, do you want to like be a Nintendo ambassador? You just like get free stuff. And I was like, I'll take free
You know how
stuff.
hard it
that,
is to get on that ambassador list? For
now it
Nintendo?
is, yeah. I think at the time they were just kind of
Insanely
giving it out. But like, so I was like, sure. They're like, we don't really, we don't actually expect anything from you. It's just like, you'll get game codes, and obviously you'll have to like disclose if you got the game code or whatever. I'm like, great, free stuff, whatever. After like, I don't know, maybe 8 months or something like that, they changed the terms, and they wanted everyone to sign like an updated agreement that was basically just like, it was kind of a, you need to be family friendly on and off your Nintendo content. So it was like, you can't talk about alcohol on your social media and stuff like that. And so, I mean, I was just like, well, no, I'm just not going to do this anymore because I can just buy the games. It's fine. But that was, I don't know, that's really like my only run-in with like we need something different from you now. Like, we need to actually change what you are allowed. And it wasn't ever like, I didn't see anything on there that was like, and don't speak ill of Nintendo products, and don't ever like say anything, critiquing our products. But it was just like, you need to exude this like family friendly energy. And I'm like, well, no, no, thank you. I'm a person.
And then you went on your top 10 shots of 2017 thread. Yeah, woo. I think it's a nice sign that I think that I've been very lucky, also kind of spoiled on this front, where I'm like, I've never had to really do that. Like with the MinnMax Spotlight that was sponsored for about EverQuest, there are like a couple things that they had some qualms with in the edit, and it made my skin crawl. I talked about it on Bonus Pod, but it was just like, the fact that this is lighting me on fire this much about this inconsequential tweak that they want to have to the video, like, that's a sign that I am truly spoiled on this front of being unchained. I'm a wild man, Jacob.
Yeah, I was going to talk way more about radical feminism this year, but then I did play Black Myth Wukong earlier, and so I had to, not say any of that.
That's how it happens. They'll get you, yeah. Caltire writes in and says, hey, if you could replace a real-world sound with any good video game sound effect, which would you choose and why?
I think the car lock and car unlock beep needs to be changed.
To a video game sound
when
effect?
you go to like lock your car and the horn honks.
Right.
I have like I just got a new car, and when I unlock it, it makes like it does a jingle. And when I lock it again, it does a jingle. It doesn't honk.
Do you like the jingle?
It doesn't disturb. I do like the jingle because like the honk, not gonna lie, a little scary.
It is.
A little alarming.
Yeah. If it could be like a subtle analog honk of like kind of riding in and then fading out, but they're too abrupt. So, okay, so would it be a video game jingle though? Would you prefer that instead of the...
Well, I really like the sound in Animal Crossing when like you open or close a door and it kind of makes like a wind chime noise.
Right.
And I also think microwaves, I think all beeps should just be removed, and it should be replaced with fun video game jingles. Like microwave beeping.
Yeah.
Any kind of beeping.
Replace it with like the Zelda low heart beep.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's...
I'm joking. It's the worst.
Sorry about that.
I know. Yep, that's true.
I've been working out more, and that would be so much better if I got like Final Fantasy VII Rebirth level feedback on like every squat. If I could kind of hear the like completed noise for each one.
Right.
I'm listening to the soundtrack while doing it, but it's not enough. I need like every, like weight lifted to make a little ding.
Don't give Nintendo ideas, or they're gonna sell you some kind of like alarmo band. Or like they're gonna sell you some kind of like pedometer or something that makes Zelda noises.
No, just a small thing. You're totally right though. Of like every time if you curled, it was just like bloop, bleep, bleep. But if you just like increase like the pitch, that would be enough to have me break my arms off because I'd be doing it so much, I feel like. I was going to go, okay, easy one. Instead of footsteps coming downstairs, every time you use stairs in your life, it was like the Dragon Quest stair sound. Like that would obviously be a better experience for the world. And then, not to get dark, but imagine the final sounds you make on Earth, Jacob Geller, instead of the death rattle that you inevitably will be making. Hey, new rule, everybody. Replace the death rattle with this. Just the Mario World, just exiting the stage. I'm out. No weird sounds coming from the throat.
Like do 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 do.
Oh, like the death sound.
Yeah.
Okay.
They
Yeah.
attach that to like the heart rate monitor when instead of like flatlining, like you just get that noise. That would be great.
That would be great. Come on, doctors. Ecto
That's
Coolest
so good.
writes in and asks, what's the best game that has aged the worst? I thought this was a really interesting question. It's tricky, right? The best game that aged the worst. How do you factor that?
I mean, honestly, maybe it's just recency bias, but a good contender is Dragon Quest III. Like,
Okay.
and not. I mean, the remake is obviously a lot better, but like the original Dragon Quest III,
Right.
considered one of the greatest games of all time. Very difficult to go back to now.
Basically something that's so influential that like every piece of it has been iterated upon to the point of the original being almost obsolete. Where
Yeah.
it's just like, because of that, we now have this thing, which is way better in every way.
But like, yeah, obsolete, but also just so obtuse. Because I think that probably is the answer of like old RPGs, Kelsey. Like Ultima 4.
It's like it's like Wizardry or Ultima or something like that.
Right.
Just one of the very old ones that's inscrutable and not fun now, but like is the foundation for so much that came after it.
I mean, like any early shooter, GoldenEye is the
I think GoldenEye
easy
is up
answer
there.
of
Yep.
just anything before they figured out controller first person aiming.
Yeah, I was thinking like the sweet spot for jank, which is also a sweet spot for my nostalgia, but like I think Tomb Raider 1, 2, and 3 are contenders here. Where it's like great games, but if we're talking about what is actually miserable to play, Tomb Raider 2 is a pretty rough go these days. Even Metal Gear? Jacob, you just played Metal Gear 1. How's that holding up?
It's fine.
Okay.
It's not like, you know, you kind of wish it controlled differently, but like it has not aged poorly because it's still, when you're playing it, you're still like, it's still doing things that are exciting in ways that other games aren't doing now.
Right. Cameron Anthony Wardlaw writes in and says, hey, everybody, Cam from Lansing here. I'm Marvel on the Discord. Hello. I've run into a bit of a predicament. So a friend of mine decided to send me a few gifts for Christmas, one being a box of cat toys for my new kitty. Great. And the other one being a cosplay replica of the Oblivion Keyblade from Kingdom Hearts. Pretty cool gifts, right? One small issue. Neither of us have ever played Kingdom Hearts, even for one moment. So I need help with a few things. What do I do with this Keyblade? Do I hang it on my wall despite having no attachment to Kingdom Hearts? If so, what room do I put it in? Do I just carry it around for the rest of the time in some case? Oh, in case some comically large door needs to be opened/cut? Again, I have no clue what a Keyblade does. Do I return it to him? What do I do?
I think you play Kingdom Hearts.
Yeah, I think the answer is you now are required to play Kingdom Hearts, and this is the burden that has been bestowed upon you.
But what if you play it and it is a little bit of that camp of like, hasn't aged well. I don't really like it.
It hasn't aged well.
Right, so then-
But now you get to play it.
But when they're like a 5 out of 10 on their passion for Kingdom Hearts, does that then warrant them putting this up on their wall?
Is it like
You
a
have to earn
fun
it.
fidget thing at least? Like, is it fun to like just swing around and hit stuff with? I don't know. I really do think the answer though is like, at least there's potentially an easy answer here, which is that you do find out you like Kingdom Hearts.
Okay.
So if like try it, because maybe you will, and then that just fixes it.
But we
now
all
you
know-
like Kingdom Hearts, it makes sense for you to have this Keyblade.
Yeah, but
Just start
Yeah, the
dressing
answer
like
is you-
Sora.
Yeah.
Big shoes.
Unfortunately, that's the only
button-up
answer.
vest.
Is to become a Kingdom Hearts
your
fan.
friend cosplay Sora shoes.
Yeah.
yeah, that's perfect. All right, we hope you marvel. All right, what do you like for a question of the week? The final question of the week. Only one prize is being sent out.
Oh, the wrong dialogue option one.
Wrong dialogue? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I liked your story.
Oh, thanks, everybody. All right, congratulations. The final prize goes to Mark S., of course, but hang on. Sarah, do you hear that? Guys, is that Santa, is this a Christmas miracle? What if I told you that everybody who was read on the show, you all get a game code?
Oh.
Congratulations. I'll send you a message and I'll give you a choice of a bunch of Steam codes. So thanks to everybody for supporting us on Patreon here and writing in each and every week. And a special thanks to everybody who made the cut this time around. Really appreciate it. Now it's time for something that we call Get a Load of This. Who's got a good one?
Get a load of this. I found this quiz that is surprisingly difficult, which is called Dark Souls or Love Nikki, and it's are these quotes from Dark Souls or one of the Nikki games. So I'm just gonna read a couple for you guys. It's pretty hard.
Okay.
What is dark? Perhaps we already know. We fear the dark, yet find solace in it.
That's Love Nikki.
That's Nikki.
Nikki.
Nope, it's the Abyss Seal from Dark Souls 2.
Yeah, come on, you idiots.
Oh,
I didn't play that one.
The Forsaken will grant this world the last delight.
That's Nikki as all hell.
Please, Nikki. Please, Nikki. Please, Nikki. Please, Nikki.
Nope, Undying Snow.
What kind of quiz is this, Kelsey?
I want it to be Nikki so bad.
We're being hoodwinked.
Give us a Nikki one.
Okay. Oh, I can't control what comes up, but hatred has never twisted their hearts, but they have done what they can. What they've done, what can never be forgiven by their people.
This is Elden Ring.
Nikki?
Please, Nikki. Please, Nikki. Please, Nikki.
It is Love Nikki, the Mark of Courage.
Wow, there we go. Beautiful. Links below for all this fun stuff.
There's 96 of these, by the way.
Get a load of this. Surprisingly, Rico is the only one able to wield the Oblivion Keyblade in Kingdom Hearts 358 over 2 days, though Roxas can wield it in conjunction with Oathkeeper.
So he has to
So
play.
it's not even in like the first Kingdom Hearts game?
Yeah, he has to play the DS game to understand what this prop is.
What a
In
burden.
Kingdom Hearts 3, Oblivion can be upgraded within the Keyblade Forge. At its maximum upgrade, Oblivion's damage is on par with the Ultimo weapon, though it has slightly less magic.
That's cool, man.
This
That's
is
cool.
at least a cool looking Keyblade.
All right.
It is. It looks sweet.
All right.
My real get a load of this is this funny way that a cat walks over snow in a little post on Reddit. I'll put it in our chat.
All right. Sweet. Links below if you want to check it out. Hey, get a load of this. Maybe this is something that everyone who's fine and dined and wined and cultured understands, but are you guys familiar with no view seats in concerts?
Yeah, where you can't see.
like the where there's a column in front of it, or you're behind the stage.
You're
or
like
something.
completely behind the stage. Like, Taylor Swift wrapped up her Eras tour and all this stuff. And I just learned about this as a concept that still like tickets were going for like hundreds of dollars just for a no view seat where you're just sitting on the opposite side of the stage. You're just looking at the back of the stage the entire time. But then again, like, a friend of ours got a ticket for the Vancouver show for the Taylor Swift concert and it was only $50. It's like, for $50 to like be at one of the final Eras tours, like that's actually a pretty good deal to be able to hear it, I guess. It's a weird concept, but can they not just have 3D stages or 360 stages? Is that impossible? I don't understand why they're
They got a big screen behind them. They're
just
doing
don't have
all
a
sorts of
screen.
effects.
Taylor Swift is a screen in and of herself. Come on. From the community, get a load of this. Kept Up Stranger shared this article from Polygon. I thought it was interesting, where the game Plucky Squire that I liked. I'm on the second to last chapter. I need to finish here. But a big problem with that game was it was pretty handholdy. Some people complained about that. Maybe Jacob. I'm trying to remember. But they just released an update for Plucky Squire that's streamlined mode, and you can turn it on. And everything is streamlined, less dialogue. Like if something changes in the environment, the camera doesn't fly over to show you what changed, exactly what you hated.
One. I was like, wow, that's an actual change to the game.
Yeah, that is huge. So streamline mode now in Plucky Squire. So now look for it at the top of Jacob Geller's top 10 list. Sarah, you got one?
Oh yeah, my get a load of this is my new holiday obsession has been these hour-long YouTube videos. They're sort of like ASMR videos, but it's in Animal Crossing New Horizons. And all they do is they play jazz music over like a shifting scene in Animal Crossing. So Christmas
I've seen
jazz
these.
music. The one that I have been watching is Christmas Decorating Party. And it starts with all the animals in this really cozy house, and there's like boxes everywhere, and they're like cleaning up and getting the decoration out. And then like you'll look back like 20, 30 minutes later, and they're like having some Christmas cookies. And then you'll look back again, and they're like opening presents. And this is what has been getting me through the holiday season.
Perfect. Love it. Links below if you want to check it out. Well, hey, that is it for this episode of the MinnMax Show, the last regular one of the year. Wild times. We're flying through it. Let's see. Podcast feeds. They've been a little wonky for the Patreon exclusive podcast feed. Patreon has changed some things on their back end, but hopefully everything's coming through okay for everybody. Let me know if you're having any technical difficulties, because it should be a piece of cake. And now that it's over the technical hurdle, I believe it will be again, of if you support us at that $5 tier, you get access to that bonus podcast feed. You just copy and paste the RSS feed, which you'll get on Patreon there, put it in your favorite podcast app, and then you'll have early ad-free access to this show, Bonus Pod, the Patreon exclusive podcast, all of our commentary tracks, all the deepest dives, all that fun stuff. And Bonus Pod is excellent. Haley's been doing an awesome job throughout the entire year. The Overlook Games one is fantastic, obviously, but then also the last episode just this week was all about the best game music from 2024 as recommended by the community. So it was the community picks, and of course, like all things, they humble us by having such a good range of awesome game music to pull from. So you can check out that if you enjoyed that game music episode from last week and want more. That's in Bonus Pod, of course. And of course, if you support us at that $5 tier, before Monday, you'll get that Steam code for Kunitsu-Gami Path of the Goddess, thanks to Capcom. So look forward to that. Otherwise, we have more stuff coming up. We have Sarah and I up on YouTube now is our third big war, the big duel for making gingerbread houses. If you want to see us go head to head one more time, that's on YouTube now. Next week, it's a new show, Overflow. So it's going to be us watching and reacting to the Spike VGA Awards, which is a wild, wild ride. Otherwise, we have more holiday stuff on the way. I believe what we're going to be doing is this Saturday, right, Kelsey?
Yes, I don't know that we have a time nailed down yet, but it is this Saturday.
All right, stay tuned on Twitch, and it'll be up on Monday on YouTube regardless, but it is our big holiday special that's going to be playing games and, most importantly, giving out holiday prizes thanks to Logitech. Logitech and Astro, they are shipping out stuff to people in the community, so tune into that stream if you want to win something. We got some stuff that's great to give away, just like Jacob got a new headset for Christmas. Thanks to Logitech. Look at that. The Astro A50. Also, we are going to be playing all of the games that the community made for the Community Game Jam happening in MinnMax's Discord called MinnHacks. And so I think Haley and Kelsey and I are going to be playing that and on Twitch, and then it'll be up on YouTube throughout the break as well. So look forward to that. Because of Nikolai Bjordal and their generous donation during our Give to the Max stream, they requested one more episode of Crossfade, the music podcast hosted by Matt Helgeson and Jason Daphnis, who just got engaged. Congratulations, Jason. We look forward to your MinnMax wedding where we stream the entire thing. But Nikolai donated for them to cover an album from The Roots. So look forward to a new Roots album covered on Crossfade, the music podcast. That's in your favorite podcast app. It's not a Patreon exclusive podcast if you want to hear that music podcast, which is a great timeless archive there. And then also shout out to the MinnMax community in the Discord, because they are currently making a Game of the Year list. So if you want to contribute to the Hive Mind Game of the Year list for the MinnMax community, which we'll read on this here podcast in the new year, you can check out the MinnMax Discord for more details. That is going to be up soon, where you can enter your picks for your top 10, and then we're going to make really the objective correct list of the 210s according to the community. So look forward to that. But yeah, just a reminder, next week's episode is going to be the MinnMax Awards, where we're going down categories. Week after that, that's the 26th, that'll be airing to the public. That is our Game of the Year debate part 1. And then 1 week after that, which is January 2nd in 2025, that is going to be part 2 of our big Game of the Year debate. And you can unlock early and ad-free access to that if you jump in at the $5 tier, have it one day early, or if you jump in at the $10 tier, the Backstage Pass tier, you can watch us record all of those live, or you can watch the unedited archive. We're going to be doing the first one this Friday at 4 p.m. Central, so if you're at the $10 tier, you can tune in live or watch that archive. Otherwise, we're going to be recording those on the 16th and 18th. Tune into the Discord, check it out. We have the full breakdown of that schedule there, but thank you so much, everybody, for sticking with us for a full year. Greatly appreciate it. Sarah, thank you for being here.
You're welcome.
How you feeling about the 210s?
I'm excited just to be along for the ride this year. I've got zero expectations. I've hit rock bottom on Game Awards, I feel like. I'm just excited to see what happens.
Okay. All right, Jacob, how are you feeling?
I'm really excited for the MinnMax awards.
Yes.
I think more so than the 210s, just because it's like I really want to go through those moments. I have like such a list of stuff I want to talk about.
Yeah, Kelsey, have you
I
been...
actually just listened for the first time to the part that I think it was you and Kyle talked about from the Yakuza game that came. Like, I hadn't played it yet at that point, but Man Who Erased His Name. Sorry, I was blanking on the name because it was erased. So I finished that like early last year or over the break or something. So I just now got back to like listening to you guys talking about that moment. I was like, man, I wish I could have like backed them up for that moment because it really was amazing.
I think it won, didn't it?
It might have. That's exactly where I stopped.
Okay, perfect. Okay, great. But you could have pushed it over the top for sure.
I could have. Yeah, I could have been there too.
That's right. All right. Well, we hope you all enjoy it. I think it is fun. You know, I don't know. I was going back and listening to last year's MinnMax Awards a bit, just try to remember the format and stuff like that. And I was like, maybe it's obnoxious how much we talk about the 210s and the Game of the Year stuff on the podcast. I get that. But at the same time, it's like, it's just fun to have like a culmination of the year. It's fun to have like the podcast that's the entire year building to something. And that's what it feels like the next 3 episodes of this podcast are for. And so I think it's hopefully a special thing and you all enjoy it. And we greatly appreciate the support. If you do enjoy it, and get yourself a code for Path of the Goddess by supporting us on Patreon if you do support it and enjoy it. All right. Thanks so much, everybody. Greatly appreciate it. We'll be back next week for a very exciting episode, the MinnMax Awards. Until next time, be good, have fun, let's go.